Hello everyone, this is Fire Moon and welcome to this video. I am so excited to have you all here and thank you so much to those of you who are coming back. And of course, a big welcome to new viewers and subscribers. I really appreciate all of you. So this video is going to be about the Mercury retrograde shadow period leading up to mid-June, as well as the big Saturn retrograde period, which started June 4th and will continue until October 22nd. And as usual, there will be both astrology and tarot in this video. So I hope you can hang out with me for the whole thing, but of course you may also skip around using the timestamps below. So the way that this video will be structured is as follows. The first section will be a comprehensive astrological tea chat, a literal tea chat, as I have this amazing throat chakra tea with me right now. And this will cover the contextual retrospective analysis of this Mercury retrograde period and its remaining shadow energies, and how it worked to set up the most important themes of June. B, the rest of the June astrology, and C, perhaps most importantly, the Saturn retrograde energies that are coming in right now as we speak. So the fourth and final part of this video will be a pick a card, and hopefully you can see the different piles on the screen right now. And this will seek to answer the following question. What karmic cycles or stories are unfolding for you right now, whether lessons, returns, or both? And which area or areas of your life is the Saturn retrograde energy activating for you? So you will have 5 piles to choose from. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So take a second to see which one calls to you. You may also pause the video, of course. But if you're interested, I would really love it if you stuck around with me for the Astro tea chat, which aims to give you lots of insight on the time of June and beyond. So without further ado, maybe grab a cozy drink of your choice and let's get started. So as mentioned, I have this lovely throat chakra tea. So I think it's cinnamon, pear, ginger, and a bunch of other lovely stuff. So yeah, have a drink with me if you feel like it, and we'll talk about all of the most important energies. So let me take a sip of this. So it might seem strange to do a sort of retrospective overview of an astrological period, but I think that this is actually really appropriate for this particular Mercury retrograde. Not just because it's meta and performative, but this was a lot of the energy of this time. Things didn't really make sense in April until May, and all of the questions and sort of complications that came up in May were not really going to be answered or ironed out until June. So there was a lot of this sort of inner integration in a sort of retrospective way throughout this period, and a lot of back and forth between feeling like you're inspired to move forward and then feeling like you have to take a step back in order to integrate all of these different levels of understanding. So much of April, there was a lot of fiery motivational energy going around, especially with Mercury and Taurus conjunct the North Node of Purpose, and coming out of that extended all planets direct period that we had. That was one of the longest ones in recent times, basically the first 3 months of this year. Even with that ending, when Pluto went retrograde on April 29th, which by the way will end October 18th, you were still likely to have felt very positively affected by the foreshadowing energies of Jupiter, which went into Aries, completing its 12-year cycle through the zodiac on May 10th. So anytime a big planet, so one of the social planets, moves into the sign of Aries, so goes from the 12th sign to the first sign, there is likely to be really, really tangible energy of freshness, of fresh starts, of forward movement, of things like that. And Jupiter is really the planet of inspiration, of forward movement, of expansion, of traveling, of exploration. So it's also the great benefic, as it is called, so it brings lots of good luck if aspected positively, especially in your charts. So first of all, check out where your Jupiter is and see what is going on with that. So also look at the house in your chart that is ruled by Aries, because that is likely to be a place where all of these different fresh starts will be coming into your life. So for example, if you had a 7th house in Aries, then it's likely that you will experience a new cycle when it comes to your relationships. If you had Aries 4th house. It means that there will be a sort of clean slate when it comes to matters of the home for you. So I really encourage you to take a look at your chart, and this goes for any sort of big planetary transit. This is a good exercise that I think will also be really important for the Saturn retrograde, but I will talk about that just in a second. So anyways, yeah, despite all of this fresh energy that you might have experienced throughout April, in a way that was mostly sort of an uninterrupted, there was that Pluto retrograde that started, right? And this brought up specific themes of toxicity as well as difficult relations of power, because that's really what Pluto rules, is power. And especially for those who are living in the United States or in any country that has a big connection to the United States, you might have heard about the Pluto return of the United States in that happened in April, in February, in mid-February or around the 20th. So any retrograde that happens in the sign of Pluto is going to be very important around this time, and it will specifically show, it will be like a magnifying lens to toxicity, whether in relationships or in your life in general, at material levels, at conceptual levels. So specifically though, because it is in the sign of Capricorn, which is concerned with legacy as well as with home and with lineage, it might have highlighted certain difficulties when it comes to, familial baggage as well as difficult dynamics within the home, but also in general when it comes to your feeling of importance and respect in the world. So do you feel that, I don't know, for example, your coworkers are respecting you, or that the work that you have produced all of this time is being recognized? Do you feel restricted by certain people around you? Do you feel like scrutinized for the mistakes that you've made in a way that feels unfair and malicious? Because this, at the 28th degree specifically, Pluto in Capricorn, is about sort of meanness, maliciousness, toxicity, and overly harsh, negative approaches to like punishment, to parenting, basically, because the Capricorn Cancer axis is really the axis of parenting. So any of these issues may have started cropping up for you, although not completely fully, in April. They would likely have been intensified with that Scorpio total lunar eclipse on May 16th, which I do have a video about. So if you're interested in finding out more about what those energies were really about, check that out. It's going to be linked below. So this back and forth energy that was there starting in April, between moving forward and reflecting and maybe second guessing yourself a lot, then feeling really inspired, really confident to take action, really was intensified by that Scorpio total lunar eclipse. And if there was any what felt like steps back, you being forced to take steps back, or forced to rest, or forced to even potentially like tend to any traumas or difficulties that cropped up again in a way that was unexpected or new, things that maybe you felt like you had dealt with but that reared their head again, or even things like licking your wounds after like what felt like a really horrible defeat at conceptual and practical levels. All of those things were likely to have been felt the most mid-May, excuse me. But at the same time, there is that back and forth energy again with the Gemini Mercury close to the North Node in the same house. And of course, fueled by that new energy of Jupiter and Aries, you still felt that you understood your goals. And there was this new sort of mental acuity that maybe wasn't there as much in April when you were just sort of working in an established routine. And this was, really a thing until even early May. So this Mercury retrograde period might have felt like a really annoying and unnecessary step backwards. And especially when that Scorpio moon really took things to the next level when it comes to this sort of feeling of digging deep within and reflecting once again at even deeper levels that you thought maybe you didn't need to look into anymore. It might have felt like a sort of shift once again into the void and to the limitless abyss. So that period, early to late May, could have been used for two things. And this is sort of like just a general intuitive feeling I have, either for reflecting sort of casually and calmly on things that you have accomplished or the big changes that were already sort of underway in your life, or they were sort of focused, you could have used that time to focus on like unearthing new materials, new skills in this sort of beautiful alchemical, like scorpionic way, as in like basically finding new ways to do things. It was a time when you could have really found something like really precious, really unique, really new about whether, you know, how to accomplish certain goals or how to approach something mentally. So yeah, May could have been used for either of these things, either like A, obligatory detoxifying when it comes to like old traumas, difficult power relations, B, this just general calm, or I want to say not calm or casual, but neutral self-reflectiveness, and then C, that sort of really weird alchemical kind of magical, I want to say almost, exploration of new ways to do things. But anyway, now Mercury going retrograde. So we all know, if there's anything that is known in pop astrology that I think absolutely everyone in the world knows about now, is the idea of Mercury going retrograde, right? So what really is the meaning of this planet, and what is the meaning of a retrograde? So first of all, the way that Mercury has started to be known as is this planet that causes lots of chaos and disruption and difficulties, is in my book not necessarily in line with its actual known energy and agreed upon meaning in ancient as well as modern astrology. The way that it is talked about is more as though it were a malefic, as it is called in astrology. So malefics, planets that are sort of the bringers of evil or of difficulty. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but the true malefics are really Saturn and to some degree Mars in traditional astrological planets, and also Pluto in the newer astrology. So Mercury, however, is really a neutral planet. It rules, of course, communication, sharing of ideas, also the voice to some degree, and just expression in general, and reflection and relations to your own ideas and concepts in general. So when it goes retrograde, it's not that it's meant to cause complete chaos and like you are destined to not be able to string words together. I mean, I'm still experiencing some of that Mercury retrograde, which to some degree is always going to be there, but it doesn't mean that you should, for example, wait to sign contracts or hold off on sending any and all possible texts and emails. Like, that is just not how life works. Like, Mercury goes retrograde pretty often, I think once or twice or even 3 times a year, depending on the cycle. Unlike the outer planets, which go retrograde much less frequently, right? So there's no way that life can be placed on hold during such times. But at the same time, whenever a planet goes retrograde, it's really about the turning of that planet's energy inward. That's really what it is. If you look at a natal chart and you see a planet that is retrograde, that means, it doesn't mean that it changes the energy or the meaning of that planet. It's not like, for example, like Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and or it is all of a sudden going to be the planet of ugliness, hate, and I don't know what the opposite of art is, but whatever, mundaneness. No, that's not what it's going to happen. Basically, what it means is that the energy of that planet will be felt more inwardly to you, and others will not really be able to see how that energy affects you. So for example, if you have a really well aspected Mercury in your chart and others actually see you as a great communicator, as someone who's able to express with words and create with words really clearly and compellingly and charismatically, maybe your Mercury is in the 10th house of career at the point that is most visible in your chart. That means that energy is integrally part of your identity, the way that it is seen by the world. If you have a Mercury that is retrograde in the chart, your ability for expression, for self-expression, for communication is not something that is so apparent to the outer world. You might have to work a little bit more to externalize that. Like, it doesn't mean if you have Mercury retrograde in the chart that you're going to be an awful communicator or not be able to string words together. No, it just means that, for example, you might have your own very particular unique language. You might have a very unique way of expressing yourself or of thinking through certain concepts, or you might have very uncommon ideas. You might be sort of even radical to some degree, depending on the sign or the placement. So it will take a little bit of sort of translation of self in order to make others understand, or to make others even see that energy, to perceive that energy about you. So in that same way, Mercury, which is really about relationality at the highest level, so it's about sharing ideas and really about networking in many ways at practical and conceptual levels. Whenever that energy turns retrograde, it just means that it turns inwards. So now you're doing a lot of reflection, you're talking to yourself, maybe doing a lot of inner monologuing, and maybe in some ways it feels like you have some enforced time for reflection, like you have to reflect. And that's really the thing. It's really about, Mercury retrograde really is about taking time for yourself and not expecting yourself to produce at the same pace things that are perceivable externally. That's really what it is about. And yeah, like this particular Mercury retrograde was a kind of chaotic one. And if you were, because of that fuel of fiery energy from April, you really felt like you wanted to move forward, but this sort of enforced time of reflection, like you were inspired to move forward despite that, it would likely have felt very tiring to keep going at the same pace. So what did this period really ask you to do on a mental, conceptual, physical, even like sort of karmic level? Yeah, it was meant to determine and show you and really just highlight areas of your life where toxic energy still lingered. So this was sort of taking that energy of Pluto and bringing it really to your mental body, really. And where unnecessary restrictions, heaviness, and specifically past outdated burdens were still sort of living in your life rent-free. So what in early May felt like mental clarity about your goals and future investments was something that had to be placed on hold, not to torture you, but so that you could actually tend to the physical environment around you, to your mental and physical body health, and to cleaning up all of those spaces so that you may actually have room in your life for these new manifestations and these new goals that you felt you understood at a higher level to take root long term. And as I'm filming this, I see 11:11 on the clock, so that's really important because this is really what will also be a theme of Saturn retrograde, which, Saturn is the planet of anything that has to do with the long term. So yeah, well, early May, Mercury was in the same house as the North Node, and this gave you lots of confidence and inspiration and insight to understand your new and updated life purpose. Mercury moving back into Taurus, which would have been in the same sign as the North Node, where it initially was also for most of April, made you understand what was actually necessary to bring about these goals into the real world and what materials and skills you actually needed to make them tangible. So yeah. Now, one thing that's really sort of interesting and I would say rare is that the North Node, so that point that indicates purpose, your true north in summary, is going to be direct, in a very rare direct station in close orb to Uranus, the planet of radical change, from June 7th to the 11th. So what this means really, because Taurus rules the throat, which is why I'm drinking, let me take another sip of this throat chakra tea here. What this actually means is that affirmations are amazingly effective right now. So there is really no better time not to just write down your goals or think about them as you likely would have been sort of forced to do during the Mercury retrograde, but to actually speak them out loud and to really just set intentions and follow through with them. So you can create massive shifts in your life right now by just speaking these things into existence, and specifically by tending to your inner monologues and to the words that you use. It's really, really possible to literally, just create change with your words right now. So to recap this sort of retrospective of Mercury retrograde, in April, you were doing lots of work related to your purpose and you felt you were moving forward. Then end of April and throughout mid-June, you felt like you were forced to take a step back, even though mentally you understood where you wanted to go. Coming out of Mercury retrograde on June 3rd, after this sort of enforced reflection, you understood not just your general goals, but what it took to accomplish them physically. And now you are very likely during this period, this shadow period, right? After June 3rd, we are going to get this shadow period. I'm recording this right around this time, so this will be out during the shadow period. So now you are very likely to receive any and all remaining news, decisions, and inner epiphanies that you still needed in order so that you can actually move forward with all of that new understanding. So June 8th is the end of the shadow period, but I actually would consider June 12th to be the true end of this retrograde season, because that is when Mercury finishes its stay in Taurus before it moves back into Gemini. So during this final portion in Taurus, you also have this chance, post all of that reflection and lesson learning, to state, those intentions that you have extremely clearly and effectively. So the clearer you are about these intentions right now, the more likely you are to receive manifestations of them. So May should have detoxed any negative inner monologues, or at least brought them to your attention, so that you may actually be free and ready to make vast forward movements starting in June. So yeah, about the June astrology, let me take another sip of this tea here. What really is the theme of this month? It's really about coming back home to self and to an inwardly balanced energy by paying attention to your health, actually. So that's at least what I would really summarize this whole energy as. So Mercury is going to be back in Gemini, its domicile, on June 13th. And this really brings a lot of lighthearted energy that really might not have felt so accessible the last month and a half or so. And at the same time, after traveling from Capricorn into Aries together since January, Mars and Venus will be back also in their domiciles. So this past period, actually since January, when we had that Venus retrograde, when it ended like around late January, was actually a really good period for partnership and for creating alignment from within, so that you may come into healthy, beautiful new relationships externally as well, if they were not already there. So now they're finally both returning into rulership, or their original homes. So Mars went into Aries, preparing for that conjunction with Jupiter on May 10th. Oh my gosh, when was this? Oh yeah, this was May 24th. So you might feel, for example, that you're really called to exercise a lot more, or to get strong, or to really tend to like a more yang-oriented understanding of physical health, because really any fire placement or whenever Mars enters a fire sign is really going to be very motivated to make fast progress physically when it comes to maintaining health or getting leaner, stronger, things of that sort. And Mars in fire signs is really about expending enough energy. So sometimes because of this, heightened period of like enforced self-reflection, you might actually feel that, I need more time to rest or things like that. But actually, in a weird paradoxical way, you might feel fatigued, or like you're lacking in energy, and like your cycles are not really aligned or regular, because you actually might need to exercise or to move or to exert more energy. At the same time, Venus is going into Taurus, or actually went into Taurus, also its home, on May 28th. So this emphasizes a different side of health, that more yin side, so sensuality and enjoyment, and really just all of the senses are extra heightened. Venus is extremely generous and luxurious in Taurus, so you might feel the need to really just enjoy things a lot more. So it's also hanging out in the 5th house, which traditionally in astrology is known as the place where Venus has its joy. And believe me, I don't think that's a euphemism. I hope not, at least. But really, this means that, especially together with that lighthearted Gemini Mercury, there will be this increased need for fun and excitement. So you're likely to feel that things don't need to be as serious. So with that Taurus stellium that we had throughout April and May, back and forth, you might have encountered this sort of inwardly driven seriousness, like I need to accomplish this and that, I need to get this and this done, I need to complete this to-do list, or else I can only enjoy things until I've done these other things. So Venus in Taurus is not going to be really happy with that. It wants its foundation to be that of enjoyment and of relaxation, and it wants to come from that place of basically abundance and a relation with the self that is just very, very generous. So if you're not generous to yourself around this time, chances are that you're not going to have that energy that Mars in Aries is really pushing you to embrace, to be really strong and to be moving forward really quickly, which is something that you're likely to experience. So this is really, really brings together that theme of health for me. So tending to inward cycles and not skipping either side. So the waning and the waxing cycles, not, being constantly turned on or constantly turned off. There is a really, really beautiful chance this June to integrate all of these past lessons and self-reflections from May and April, and all of these reorientations that you might have experienced when it came to your goals and your routine, and questions like, where do I want to live? What do I actually want to feel like? What do I actually want to be doing every day when I'm producing the work that I consider to be related to my purpose, things of that sort. So yeah, you're going to be receiving the final sort of answers to these, at least temporarily, by like June 13th or so, and then the rest of June can be spent actually optimizing all of these goals and these investments in ways that set up this beautiful, synergetic, sustainable, long-term back and forth of inward cycles between moving forward, doing lots of intense work, but then also relaxing in that beautiful Venusian sort of way. So if May was about detoxing physically, emotionally, and mentally, resting and reflecting on goals, June is really about mixing joy with work, fun with rigorousness, and starting to create that foundation for your new reality and routine. So now a little bit about Saturn retrograde. Last thing that I'll say. So what is Saturn really about as well? So yes, Saturn is the great malefic planet, and if you look at all of the astrologers from Valens in the early centuries there to William Lilly, so in the Renaissance, to all of the modern astrologers, they do talk about Saturn as being restrictive, difficult, as being sort of morose, dark. It is, yes, the greater malefic in the sense that it does say no to things, it does provide limits, it does represent karma, it's, the bringer of karma, things of that sort. So in that sense, it is, a planet that is not very fun to be around. It's the energies that it gives off are not going to be very affirmative, very reassuring, very encouraging, but that is just, one way to think about it. In some ways, Saturn is really, I like to think about it this way as teacher, really. A teacher who rewards when it is necessary and who, gives you constructive criticism when necessary. And the criticism does not have to be mean-spirited, although sometimes we might register it as that, but it is always geared towards being constructive. So Saturn does go retrograde for about 3 months every year, so it is also a common occurrence. It's not like the world's gonna end during this time either. And specifically when it is in the sign of Aquarius, which it rules, so it rules Capricorn and Aquarius, traditionally, it's going to be about really long-term legacies. So in that way, it takes those themes of Pluto and it really emphasizes them. So the outer you go in the planets, the less that the retrograde energies will be felt, just because those planets get more and more general, more and more generational. Saturn is sort of like in the middle. It's definitely a generational social planet, but it will still be important for you. I always think of Saturn retrogrades as sort of mini Saturn returns. So in Aquarius, oh gosh, there's a little tiny fly in my teeth. Thank you so much for that. Great. So in Aquarius, this has to do with society and with your connection to groups, institutions, and to finding your place in the world, really. So what happens when it goes retrograde in that? So this really is going to be similar to those energies of Mercury going retrograde. It's going to be asking you all those questions about what do you think is really your place? Who are your people? What is your world, your network, and what is the avenue for your own legacy and your own long-term accomplishments? Really, what is that place that you feel connected to? and the place that will basically welcome all your creations in the world and sustain them long term. So yeah, with this sort of mini Saturn return energy to a Saturn retrograde, I like to think of it as a sort of, through this metaphor of the manager. So what happens if, the big boss comes in at work and like unannounced, basically. Like, of course, we know because we can look ahead in the astrology and it won't be unannounced, but just hypothetically, let's think of what would happen if that is the case. Employees who have done absolutely no work for the past few months and are, out and taking 2-hour breaks might be literally fired right on the spot, right? So that's sort of pop culture idea of Saturn returns, which, in this slightly less heightened way would also be there on Saturn retrogrades. That's what people fear really about this energy of Saturn. So yeah, like if you are in the wrong place, for example, to take that metaphor to its conclusion, if you're in the wrong place or working the wrong job, therefore slacking and taking 2-hour breaks, like yeah, Saturn is going to bring this sort of tower moment where it takes away those false structures or foundations, right? Because it wants you to be aligned with your purpose. It doesn't want to hurt you or to give you criticism that is just mean for its sake, but it wants to give you constructive criticism so that you're truly aligned with purpose. Again, Saturn is the planet of longevity, of time, of legacy. So it's going to be encouraging you, sometimes harshly, sometimes in a constructive way, depending on how aligned you are with your purpose, to make sure that you're taking all the necessary steps for that. So literally, this retrograde will be just picking up exactly where the Mercury retrograde left off. So all of the answers that you received during that time about what you should be doing, about, what the next steps are, and all of the answers that you got about what you would have to do to make that happen are going to be sort of put to the test during this time. So, what would happen if that manager came in at work and it saw someone, like one of the employees or a few of the employees, really working super hard and doing exactly what they had to do, but not just that, just going above and beyond, like the extra mile. It would probably reward them. So this is likely to also be a time of returns if you've been putting in the work. In a more sort of neutral situation, I guess, if you were trying your hardest but you weren't succeeding, Saturn is going to give you some tips. It's going to be like, okay, well, why are you struggling with this task at work? Well, here are some insights on what you might be doing better. So think of it as a sort of point of evaluation. But of course, it's retrograde, right? So take that manager figure and make it a part of yourself. So this will likely be happening in a way where you're giving yourself those criticisms. You're going to be, coming off of that Mercury retrograde, that reflective lens. You would have been trained to be able to see within, to understand what was working in your life and what was not. And then you now have the ability to give yourself that feedback and to be honest with yourself about what is working and what is not when it comes to your long-term goals and to things that you want to make sustainable in the long future. So now a sort of bonus point here with Uranus conjunct the North Node in Taurus. Uranus is the planet of like drastic radical change, news, innovations, things of that sort. So things that might bring a sort of instability into current structure. So that's different than Saturn. That's the planet that is in many ways opposite of it, right? Because if planet was considered the limit of what is known in traditional times before Uranus was discovered, Uranus literally shook up that understanding. So there is this square between the Aquarius Saturn and the Uranus and Taurus, which will be really fully conjunct in around, I think it was August of this year. So if you want to find out more about which specific areas of your life these two important planetary transits will be highlighting, check out your house ruled by Aquarius, so for the Saturn part, and then the house ruled by Taurus. So the Taurus house is going to signify where there might be change coming into your life in an unexpected but positive way. And the Aquarius house will be representing the area of your life that will be sort of evaluated, inwardly self-evaluated during this time. So until, I think it is, when does it end? Oh my gosh. It ends on October 22nd, yeah. So And these two sides of life might be informing each other, so resulting from the way that you've been making progress in that area that has to do with lessons and with working hard and with making things come to life in this, long-term oriented way as Saturn would want it to happen. Then the house that Taurus rules in your chart will be the place that will be affected, where change will happen in a way that is informed by all of that Aquarius energy, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, that was a little convoluted, but basically check out the houses ruled by Taurus and Aquarius. So yeah, that's a little bit about Saturn retrograde. I would love to hear you about your specific chart placements and how you feel that these transits are affecting you, so let me know down below. So thank you so much for sticking with me during this little astrological forecast here. Let me know if you have any thoughts, ideas, feelings, responses to this. Otherwise, I will see you in the pick a card. So hello to everyone who picked pile number 1, which is the Tarot de la Nuit. So let's take a look at what karmic cycles and stories are unfolding for you right now. So I do have some oracle cards that determine which areas of life these are coming into, or what the specific blessing or lesson is about. And then we're going to look at the actual story behind it and what you're learning and have learned during this retrograde period and coming into the full Saturn retrograde, which will end October 22nd. And then we'll get some advice on how to make the most of it. So the first card that we have is going to be the 8th house, intimacy, investments, intensity, contracts, sex, erotic capital, secrets, mysteries, obsessions, inheritance, kundalini energy, stalking, the underworld. Wow, lots of different things there. I like this pile of cards because it can get really specific like that. So there's lots of potential areas in which this energy could be unfolding for you, but let's find out more. So water emotions are at their peak. So of course we get the trine of the water signs there, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, and then wow, more Cancer energy. So you and your loved ones are safe. So this is all water energy. The 8th house is associated with Scorpio in some systems of astrology, and it is about what is hidden, and water is considered a dark element. So you might have felt like this period of retrograde season was one where you really felt confused and in the dark about your own feelings, about what is right for you, what is healthy for you and those you care about the most. And you might have felt challenged when it comes to feeling at home or feeling comfortable in your own skin or feeling secure in your environment. So the 8th house really brings up this idea of, are you comfortable with yourself as you are right now? Because that is really what determines your relation to any context or environment or any person in a way where you're able to feel at home no matter what's happening. So this is really about intimacy with the self, being able to sit there with your feelings, with your emotions, with any thoughts that might come up as you reflect, and not to be triggered or to be feeling uncomfortable or to feel alone or scared or anxious. This is about making the unknown familiar, making the dark familiar. Whatever part of you feels unknown or uncharted, or that feels a little bit dangerous or difficult for you. This might also have to do with the so-called shadow side and might refer to some recent dark night of the soul situations, or if it wasn't that intense, some just general confused reflections on big themes and existential questions in your life, whether it has to do with who you are, with questions of authenticity, or whether it has to do with the place that you're investing in and the people that you're investing in, even the activities that you invest in a way that makes them feel comfortable and connected to your soul. So this is really about getting in tune to your true self again, and being in a place of inner calm, free of anxiety. And like basically what I'm feeling is that you don't feel completely like justified to experience like enjoyment and peace and calmness within yourself, even when you are by yourself. So that sort of energy of being sort of caged in, I'm getting like kind of 8 of Swords energy here, might be something that was really brought forward by this Mercury retrograde, and by the beginning of the Saturn retrograde it will be more enforced, in order so that it brings your attention to some deep inner truth about yourself that you either maybe have been avoiding, or that you just didn't have the tools necessary to fully understand, or that you needed to understand only, or that you could only understand after you've gone through certain lessons in your life. Yeah, I'm really getting lots of Scorpio energy, and if this has to do with the matter of feeling like you're not exactly sure about what your situation is when it comes to stability, when it comes to home, like if you're feeling unsafe, this also really reminds me of kind of unbalanced root chakra energy, of feeling like you're not, yeah, this is that sort of prime kind of classic example of an unbalanced root chakra where you feel for no reason, like just sitting there, just being there, just existing, like there's something you feel you need to feel unsettled about. So there is definitely some sort of unfoldment of you being aware of these energies and clearing them. So whatever happens during this time that sort of triggers that anxiety within you, that makes you feel unsafe, or whether that is even just something that someone says to you that makes you feel like, yeah, just anxious, or brings up difficult feelings unrelated to it, or just that makes you feel like you're in the dark, like all of these things are happening right now in your life. There are like, because contracts, I'm looking there at contracts, it was basically by your soul decided that you would experience these things in order to come to this place where you understand basically your subconscious. The 8th house is also associated with anything related to psychology, so understanding like the subconscious, self-understanding the subconscious, as well as, yeah, just dealing with that sort of thorny aspect and element of ourselves that is not so easily definable. So in a way, this is exactly the energy of Mercury retrograde that you might have experienced. In other ways, this is very much the opposite, because it's really all about the inexpressible through words within you. It's all about that energy that is just it's not just too intangible to be translated into obvious form. That place within you that is just your own particular home, your soul essence, that is at this moment a little bit unbalanced. So what is this? This might also have to do with the 8th house is also the 8th house, the house of ancestry, and Cancer is associated with the 4th house. I don't always do house to sign equations, but specifically Cancer and the 4th house really do overlap a lot. So this might be something that's coming up from your childhood, and especially with this Pluto retrograde happening right now in Capricorn, which I talked a little bit about in the beginning astrology of this video. Yeah, this has to do with some of those themes coming up from childhood potentially, or yeah, if there was any sort of unfinished dealings on your side with questions of ancestry, karma to do with family, and connections with ancestral ties and contracts in your life during this period, then the Saturn retrograde all the way until October 22nd will really be bringing this up cyclically for you. I'm just getting the sense of like this inward darker circularity here that you won't be able to sort of face head on and very directly, because you have to sort of sink into this energy and let this understanding come to you in that more watery sort of yin sort of way. So let's see what this is about. What is the story unfolding for you right now? The karmic story, lessons, returns, blessing, things of this sort. Okay, so 9 of Wands. I should put these. I don't know where to organize, how to organize these. Let me put that there. Okay, you get the 7 of Wands. Wow, lots of self-defense. 6 of Wands, King of Cups. And then let's get one more. Okay. Death, more Scorpio energy there. Wow, and the Tower at the bottom of the deck. So let me just take a second to meditate on these energies here. Yeah, so what really stands out the most to me so far is, especially in connection with this Cancer card, you and your loved ones are safe. These two cards coming up together, which both represent defensiveness. So the 9 of Wands is a card of defending something that you consider to have been very hard earned in your life. So something that you've put lots of work into, that you've worked on a long term, that you've just put lots of effort into, and that you've maybe even overstretched yourself in order to accomplish or to establish, whether it's a foundation, whether it's anything in any area of your life. And then the Seven of Wands is quite literally about defending your ground, standing your ground, drawing that boundary to begin with. This is like the first step of, establishing that thing that you intend to create. And then this is about defending that thing that you've already established. This coming up together with Cancer, this might literally have to do with you feeling like you have to take care of others who are very close to you and that you're the person that they rely on. Like I'm getting like a very sort of overburdened energy. Like the next card that comes up after the Nine of Wands, of course, is the Ten of Wands, which is all about carrying lots of heavy burdens. And this is exactly that sort of energy that we've talked about in the astrology. Karmic ancestral burdens coming from either family or any other contracts with others, or with certain enterprises that you've signed up for in your life that are just weighing you down very significantly right now. So there is a lot of heavy sort of energy that makes you feel just restricted at the moment, and you're fighting very hard. You've been sort of this like intense warrior throughout this time, whether this means like this specific Mercury retrograde or just, I'm getting the sense that it's a lot longer than that, of course, but specifically with death coming through here. And then this Six of Wands representing like, yes, you've been extremely successful at doing this thing, whatever this was that you've worked so hard on, and that you've worked so diligently to defend and to uphold and to maintain. And the King of Cups is a card that represents maturity as well as great accomplishment. Six of Wands is like victory and being successful, and then the King of Wands is about, King of Cups is about reaching some sort of pinnacle of, something, whatever it is. But then the Death card represents that there needs to be some sort of change, some sort of transformation here at the inward level, but also at the external level, because we have the Tower. So there's something here that is just too heavy, too difficult for you, and that is causing you a lot of this unnecessary anxiety. Like maybe this just is telling you that you don't need to worry about being that person that, that is the most mature, the most reliable, the person that provides absolutely everything. Cancer is also really bringing up that thing in the astrology about parenting, right? And about upholding structures in this way that is dependable. Cancer is concerned with security, with the home, as well as with determining if there's anything wrong with situations so that it may be able to fix it. So you're maybe always like worrying, maybe you're being, even in the way that you relate to your friends, you're always a worrier, the person who is like the mother in the group, like who wants everyone to be safe, to take care of themselves. Like I just feel like you've been such a caretaker, really, with so much Cancer, Scorpio energy coming through in ways where you don't show it or you don't really reflect it to the world. Like others don't really realize how much it takes, how much effort and intensity it takes for you to be so successful, so dependable, so reliable at doing this, at upholding this role basically here. So but yeah, with the Death card here specifically, as it is, represented by this mask here in this deck, this is about you sort of holding on to this role of the caretaker in a way that is restricting that true inner sense of self. Remember how we saw in the beginning of the reading that there is an element, or that most essential element of your soul is being repressed or suppressed at the moment because of all of this heavy burdensome energy. And that is literally prime, Pluto in Capricorn retrograde energy, as well as all of this emphasis on, with the Taurus stellium, on maintaining structures and creating and maintaining security. And with the Saturn retrograde, which asks you to be that parent, that teacher to yourself, and to give yourself constructive criticism. And because Saturn is, concerned with long-term goals, long-term structures, this is asking you like how much of this that you've been doing is actually sustainable. Like, can you keep going at this pace? Because it really seems to me like you really need to be nurtured right now at the soul level. Like this King of Cups energy, like this really represents to me this need to be connected to others who can do exactly the same for you. So right now, I don't really sense that that is the case. And the questions that I think might be useful for you would be, is this because you are telling yourself that you need to uphold this role? Like, is anyone actually like forcing you to do this? Or is anyone expecting you to do this? And if they are expecting you, Have you actually, in a way that was, have you actually like responded to their, what's the word, to their expectations that you would uphold this role out of a place of fear or out of a place of not knowing what you would do with yourself otherwise if you weren't, taking on that role and continuing your place in those people's lives in the same way that you have for so long. Like, what if, these people were to say to you, like, I no longer need this assistance, this help? Like, would that actually make you feel more anxious? Like, this is a weird sort of, very specific energy that I'm getting for you. So this is really about removing any sort of unnecessary, or I don't want to say unnecessary, but self-given, assumptive, like expectations to self that tell you that you have to be the one to bear others' burdens. Basically, it's just what it is. That's the most essential energy that I'm feeling here. So I'm going to use Morgan Greer Tarot for a little bit of clarification. So if that's sort of the general karmic story or cycle unfolding in your life now, is anything else that wants to come your way? Okay, so the High Priestess and the Ten of Swords, and then at the bottom we have the Fool. Okay, so yeah, this is really nice because I sort of view the Ten of Swords as the minor arcana version of the Tower, which is already here. And the Fool is the first card and the major arcana, of course, which signifies a fresh start. So this really talks about self-sacrifice. Once again, the High Priestess is all about that energy of the soul, the energy that is most native to you, right? Being sort of assaulted, being just being literally killed because of external circumstances, because you are letting these things take up all of your energy, most of your time. So there's just not enough room for your soul, for that place within you that also needs nurturing, to breathe at all. And the Fool is literally the card of lightheartedness, of smelling the roses, of being free. And oh my gosh, look at this, 10 of Wands at the bottom. This is exactly what I said there with the 9 of Wands card. That was the next card that would come up. And yeah, this is the card of freedom. This is the card of burdensomeness. And this is about being literally hurt at the soul level with the High Priestess through all of the intense burdens that you're taking on right now. But this is a lesson about your resilience and about the fact that you don't need to suffer, because the world here, we have the Fool, the first in the major arcana, the World, the last in the major arcana. So this is talking about the fact that you needed to learn at some point that the fact that you can take on certain things or certain roles that require lots of self-sacrifice does not mean that you should, that there is a limit and that you need to create these boundaries. Now I understand these cards a little bit more retrospectively in order so that you also feel like you are walking through life in a way where you are nurtured as well, and where you're also supported by others, and where you're not the only person who is supporting, who is the supporter, the caretaker, basically. That's what I'm feeling. So let's see if there's any specific things, like those blessings, returns that want to come your way with this tea leaf oracle cards here. Any specific things? One of them flipped over. So Valley, deep personal strength and peace that assures success. So we do have the 6 of Wands there. So yeah, also another message. So again, take any and all that resonate here. Anything that you have been putting lots of work into, that you've been struggling to work on, will definitely succeed. And it will, when you finally get that glimpse of success, you're going to be able to allow yourself to enjoy this peace, that deep inner peace. This is one of the first things that we talked about, right? Where with these cards here, where that sense of just even being with yourself and you feeling anxious is going to finally dissipate now that you see that all of the effort that you've put in has been for something. So, okay, and dark woman, dealings or relationship with a woman with dark complexion or hair, so that might be relevant for you. That might also be you. So let's see, one more card here. All right, that one. Okay, there are actually 2, so I'm going to take both of them. So bridge, successfully overcoming a problem. So this is really some deep reassurance about all matters to do with the root chakra. So security, home, long-term foundations that set you up for building successful things in your life, no matter what area. And back, something important such as a new job or raise. Okay, so yeah, if you've been working extremely hard, if all of this was really about your job and you being in some sort of like contract there and literally just killing yourself and your soul joy in order to reach some sort of pinnacle of success or of security, then this is going to signify a time where, by simply reflecting inward and figuring out what you're willing to give and what you're no longer willing to give, you're going to actually attract way more abundance your way. So the Saturn retrograde really for you is about defining boundaries when it comes to work, when it comes to investment of your soul energy into things that feel just too unnecessarily difficult, or choosing to simply just axe that whole thing and move on in this new direction. The Ten of Swords, yes, it feels painful, but the good news about the Ten of Swords all the time is that, yeah, you've reached the end of that possibility. Like, you can no longer keep going that way. There is this necessity for change. So even if it does mean, for example, like walking away from a current job or something that does give you a certain sense of security, but that you have to sacrifice so much soul energy for, then that ultimately will lead to greater success, so that you can be at peace with yourself and not be in a constant state of anxiety because of all the negative energy that you absorb from playing out your role that you have, you know, sort of decided is the role that you must play in order to, you know, be who you have to be. So things about what you have to do, things about like what is expected of you, all of these questions will be coming up all the way until, you know, late October with the Saturn retrograde. So it's really about work in its most essential form. It's very Saturnian energy, but at the same time, it's very deep sort of water scorpionic energy. So this deep transformation of the way that you go about, just the way you put effort into life, it wants to come your way so that you reach this place where you feel just at peace with the world and where you don't have to struggle constantly. Like, again, I really recommend some clearing of the root chakra because this is coming up here. So let's get one more card for how to make the most of these lessons. Is there anything else that you should know? I'm going to pull just one oracle card from this deck and read the message. Okay, wow. Let's just shuffle properly. Let's get one, not two. Okay, that one flipped over. The others do not count. Okay. Treasured memories, 18. It also adds up to 9, which is the first card that came up. So let's see what this says. Memories, nostalgia, recognition. We see a woman sitting calmly in the grass. She looks forward to somewhere we don't know, while her mind is drifting in the past. With both hands, she is holding a floating balloon filled with clouds. These clouds are old memories she wants to keep and treasure. Our past experiences don't define us. We can't live the life we had long ago, but the past does shape us, and remembrances of loved ones and joyful times can help us be our best selves today. So specifically, if you've been working in some sort of like work that has to do with like your family legacy or things of that kind, this is telling you that you don't need to work so hard to honor that and to continue that legacy. Like, there is a way to do this in a way where you feel supported and where you're not, you know, just hurting that soul energy. Another thing is that your ancestors really are coming up in this reading to tell you that you don't need to struggle as much anymore. Like, they're going to be actually really happy if you are less burdened, if you are feeling more supported and more lighthearted. Like, they're actually, you know, there's nothing that you have that would, you know, make them happy were you to struggle more. Like, you might be telling yourself, like, I need to honor this and this about my culture, my past, my family, my legacy, and I need to work really hard. But actually, like, think about it, wouldn't honoring that and everything that you've been through, it doesn't have to do with your legacy specifically, but with your past, wouldn't honoring that be actually, wouldn't it actually be better if you were doing it in a way where everything about the situation was joyful, more joyful? That would actually be even better, right? So let's pull you one final affirmation here. Oh, that's a lot. I'm gonna take the one that flipped over on top. So, oh my gosh, I let go of the anxieties of others. How perfect is that message? So yeah, this is really about tuning in with yourself and reconnecting to that inner sacred element that is most essential to your soul. So rather than working so hard and so self-sacrificially, this is a time that will bring up a lot about these burdens that have been cyclically coming up or persisting in your world, so that you may just open your existence to a more peaceful and lighthearted way of existing and of feeling and of experiencing everything around you. So yeah, lots of security is guaranteed for you. A lot of your past efforts are going to manifest during this time, even if you felt like nothing has been actually, coming through. And then you're going to reach a point where you realize that you don't need to work as hard as you have in the past in order to maintain that foundation. So you have a lot more time to tend to your own soul and to your own emotional health. So that's what I'm seeing for you for this Saturn retrograde. I really hope this reading resonated. I would love to hear your stories and comments down below. And thank you again so much for watching. I hope to see you back here some other time, and have a magical day, and see you again. Bye. So hello everyone who picked pile number 2, which is the Dulac Tarot. So we're going to take a look at what karmic cycles or stories are unfolding for you right now. And first we'll look at some oracle cards that determine the specific areas of your life that this is unfolding in. So for this Saturn retrograde, starting now until October 22nd. And yeah, feel free to take multiple messages. So for karmic lessons, as well as returns or blessings that are manifesting in your life right now. So let's see what this is about. So the first card is conjunction, empowerment. So combines with, enhances, strengthens, joins forces, activates, intensifies, authorizes, allies with, concentrates, saturates, overrides, overwhelms. Oh my gosh, so that's a lot of words. I like these cards because they can get very specific and they're very sort of inspiring to me, because yeah, they bring up a lot of potential possibilities. But conjunction really it's an aspect in astrology where planets are working in tandem with one another. They are joined in forces, but at the same time, the downside of conjunctions is that you're not necessarily aware of an energy that is working with you at the same time. So even if it's something positive, you're not necessarily aware of it. So there might be something in your life that is actually way better than you give it credit for. There might be some sort of hidden value right now around you that you're not necessarily just acknowledging, or that you're just not aware of. Basically, you don't understand just how much worth there is to it. This might have to do with a talent. This might have to do with something about your personality, because specifically, when you look at a conjunction, you think of it as a sort of like the main planet that you're looking at is unaware of the other's energy and the way that it is a part of itself. So there's something about your life potentially, or one of your relationships maybe, that is sort of morphing into you, or something about an investment around you that is morphing into you, but that is something that is very empowering to you and something that you can draw upon a little bit more. So with Saturn, it's really about creating things in the long term from a place of empowerment. And yes, sometimes learning the hard way, sometimes learning difficult lessons in order to get empowered. So this is very much Saturnian energy, but it sounds to me like there's a lot of potential for manifesting to a much higher degree something that you've already been working on, or something that you've been wishing for. So okay, the mystic circle, your abilities will be enhanced. Oh my gosh, exactly. Wow, this is amazing. What a perfect combination of cards. This is literally like there's something that you can draw on. Like, I'm sorry, this is really stupid, but I watched a lot of Vampire Diaries in my time. But sometimes when like powerful witches would want to do really intense, horrible, intense, complicated spells, they would sometimes channel another like mystical being, like a vampire or something, who was like maybe, centuries old or something, like, in order to get more power to manifest that spell specifically. So there is something in your life that you can channel a lot more of, even if this is like an actual object that gives you a lot of feelings of security, of empowerment, if this literally has to do with magic, of something like that, or if this is just for some reason, I'm getting like a really random message of like looking at your past accomplishments, or like your past like pictures or something of yourself, or like the past things that you've created. Like if you're an artist, for example, like past artwork that you've created. If you're like, I don't know, just like if you consider that you were really powerful or successful at some point in your life, like looking at pictures of yourself around that time, like there's something you can draw on from things of the sort that will give you a lot of energy, and that will make you feel way more empowered than you are at the moment, by just making you aware of just the immense worth that you're not currently seeing, about whether it's yourself, whether it's the things that you have invested in, the things that are available to you materially or otherwise around you, whether it's, this is a very sort of mystical energy. Let's get more information here. So, okay, full moon in Leo. Don't let pride get in your way. Okay, a sort of preachy little statement there from the Moonology deck. But you know what? I love Leo energy. I'm not just because I'm a Leo rising, but Leo energy, yes, sometimes in an unintelligent way, as we say astrologically, might manifest in ways that are prideful, arrogant, things of that sort. But really what I'm getting here is that there's a lot more that you can appreciate about yourself, or about the things that you've already accomplished, that will just inspire you to magnify or to multiply those accomplishments. Like this is like what I was saying before, like take a look at pictures of yourself. That's weird, that's very Leo sort of energy, but I mean that in the most like soul-based advanced sort of way. I mean that in a very, like you can do that in ways that are, even if like sometimes that might work, like looking at like pictures when you thought you were at your prime or something of that sort, like, and being like, oh my gosh, I was like really hot. Like, I mean, that was also you can accomplish that. You can be that exactly in that way, if not even in a way more elevated version of that right now, because you are still the same person essentially at the soul level. So really different sort of interesting messages here. It's all about being in alignment with yourself and acting with rather than against yourself, and realizing that you are your actually greatest supporter and cheerleader. This is something that really always reminds me of Leo energy a lot of the time too. Is like the greatest kind of I don't know what the opposite of teacher is, but someone who like awards you specific honors or something. The greatest version of that person is still yourself. So realizing that you can celebrate yourself, that you can give yourself certain pats on the back because you've accomplished just so much already. This is also about, as came up in the general astrology, about inner monologues and realizing that your words have a huge impact. So this is all about the self. It's about recognizing that no one externally is going to give you that validation that you seek, and that empowerment and that encouragement that you seek. This is actually one of the more subtle lessons of Saturn, is that even if you are, for example, to go with pop astrology and expect that right now Saturn is going to either give you something or take away something from you, like that's actually not the case. Again, Saturn retrograde, it's about turning that teacher, that manager, right, inward, and you becoming that inner constructive critic for yourself, in order so that you empower yourself, right? Not to punish yourself, not to make your life harder, but so that you actually give yourself constructive criticism to know how to move forward in a way that magnifies all of that beautiful, abundant, extraordinary energy that you have available to you, whether within yourself or in relation to the things around you or to your past accomplishments specifically is what I'm getting. So let's get more information about how this story is unfolding in your life right now. This is also about just joining together with those who are like-minded, as would be a very much Saturn and Aquarius theme. So who are those people for you, who understand you, who support you in the same way that you at your best support yourself? Oh yes, of course, more Leo energy there with strength. Let's get a couple more cards here. So it's the first time I'm using this deck, so I'm getting used to this beautiful imagery here. Which one is that one? Is that the Knight of Cups? Yeah. And then is this the Queen of Cups? Yeah. Oh wow, and the King of Cups. Okay, I promise I did shuffle these cards before I started using them. Okay, so lots of cup energy. 3 of Cups, then we have the Star, then we have Strength, then, yeah, Knight of Cups, Queen of Cups, King of Cups. Wow, what a beautiful message. This is about holding your ground when it comes to your manifestations. And as I was just talking about Saturn and Aquarius being all about community and those who are aligned with you, and with those goals that are the most significant for you and that bring you a sense of confidence, success, and empowerment, this is really about healthy connections to community. I think this is a bunch of nymphs here having a good, fun time. And yeah, as I was saying, in the general astrology, Gemini, or rather Mercury going back into Gemini, wants to bring lots of lightheartedness back into our lives. So a lot of this empowerment and this realization of what there is there available for you to draw upon a little bit more, to channel more, so that you manifest these dreams with the Star here, so that you bring about these things, so that you literally dream them into existence and speak them into existence, will be much more easily achieved if you come from a place of lightheartedness and openness, where you don't feel like you have to struggle or like you're opposed in some sort of way to others. This is literally about, drawing upon only those who already have an inherent capacity and energy to join you in your endeavors and to align with you. This is really about alignment at the highest possible level. And this speaks to so many past efforts that you've invested a lot of mental manifesting energy into finally actually coming true and coming into the real world, because I just love how there's a progression here from the Knight, Queen to the King, because that literally signifies guaranteed success. And with the Strength card here at the middle, this just says hold your ground a little bit more. This is Leo energy once again. And maybe, okay, let's channel some of this more negative message here of don't let pride get in the way. If you feel like you have been ignored or that you haven't been acknowledged for your extraordinariness or the things that you've already done that are successful, that you consider to be really great accomplishments, like if you feel like they haven't been seen by the world, like that maybe you've been your own cheerleader this entire time and that's it, and no one else joined you in that, hold on a little bit longer, because your true worth will eventually show also externally. It's your true, Leo energy at the highest level is about authenticity of the self, and not, overcompensating through shows of strength or shows of, overly determined performance of self in order to get a certain reaction from someone or from a group of people here with this 3 of Cups, from a community specifically, so that you get some sort of result. It's about literally just embodying that inner sheen in the most heightened possible way, and that inner sparkliness, your soul essence basically. And this is very solar plexus energy. You are very confident right now, and you feel that, maybe you do feel that you deserve everything and that you should be getting a lot more results. Well, these are coming your way, absolutely, because we have 2 major arcana and this obvious progression of not just emotional maturity, but this is literally about your goals just needing just a little bit more time to fully cook before they come out of the oven. And there is that thing that you can draw upon now a little bit more, so that you get that final push of energy that will bring things about. Like, again, you can magnify everything in your life. You can make so much of the skills that you've already gathered, the lessons that you've already learned, the experience that you've already had. Like, I get the sense that you maybe have in the past been, you've been criticized for not having enough experience in something, or like that you weren't like old enough, or that you just weren't established in like some area, like whether your career or something like that. And you felt that you just had a lot of, like, there's a lot of inherent natural talent here for you that is signified, but the world maybe just didn't want to give you the recognition for that, specifically because this is a very Saturnian lesson. You needed to accomplish certain milestones or to go through certain obligatory like steps in order to be considered ready to receive those things. At a more metaphorical level, that is how Saturn operates, but at a more obviously practical level, this could just mean, I don't know, just getting a certain credential or degree or like certificate or something like that in order so that you are considered or basically like listened to, so that you are given a chance to speak those things and express them into the real world. Like I'm getting the sense that, yeah, like for a lot of you, like you just didn't even get that chance to express. Let me just get 2 cards and then, okay, perfect. You just didn't even get that chance to like show the world who you are, therefore to get the right and appropriate reaction from them, which is like, you know, a sense of awe. Okay, so 4 of Pentacles, 5 of Swords, and then the Lovers at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so this talks about being in a state of self-defensiveness that is most likely unnecessary at the moment, but at a higher level, it talks about keeping your cards close to your chest so that you're not, like it's almost time for you to come into the world with all of these things, like these accomplishments that you've been working on, like your true essence, things of that sort. But it would be even better if you just held on a little bit longer so that when you do come out into the world, it's in this beautiful blossoming sort of way here, where you immediately align with those who, you know, are in conjunction with you and who share a purpose, share an energy, a career, who are willing to support you just as you have supported them, or as you have supported yourself in the past. And you don't need to like do anything shady in order to make this happen. With the 5 of Swords here, this is about like preparing for battle in a way, like where you just expect that when you next do what you wanted to do in the past that didn't get you the results you wanted, like, oh, you're ready to defend yourself is what I'm getting. You're ready to go about this goal by any means necessary to, there's none of that, none of that is necessary right now for you. This success is absolutely guaranteed for you, and you just need to hold on a little bit longer. That's just what I'm getting. And Saturn wants to teach you how to fine-tune these things that you've been working on, so that literally when you come out with them in fully finished form, it's going to be not necessarily an overnight success, because it's not an overnight success. You've worked for so long on this, but when you do come out with it, it's going to have like a true powerful impact on the world around you and those around you, and you get basically just immediate acknowledgement for it. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that none of these cards are flipped over. Okay, let's get more information about any specific blessings or lessons in your life right now. Okay. Oh, look at what flipped over, success. But let's just see what pops up specifically. Okay, that one. Oh my God. Fan, romance, celebration, party. That's very Leo sort of energy. Yeah, so exactly, celebration of and a party in your honor. And you can just start giving yourself that recognition right now and realize that, yeah, eventually the world will also reflect that back to you. With the Lovers here, it's about reflection and alignment once again. Purse, pay attention to your finances. So I think that might speak to any sort of like potential overcompensation when it comes to, because you feel like maybe you haven't gotten the recognition you need. Like you might sometimes overinvest in material things in order to like make yourself feel better or something like that. Okay, and we also have fair man, dealings or relationships with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair. Okay, so someone of this description might be significant to you. And then we also have rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. But that also might just indicate your Chinese astrology sign, so check that out if that connects to you. But with this coming up twice here, this message of pride and arrogance, so maybe there are people in your life who feel like they envy you. They envy your glamour, your extraordinary nature, your power, your potential, your talents. And you also take great pride in yourself, and you recognize all of these things about yourself. But basically, like, what I'm getting is that there's no need for you to prove anything to anyone, because that true sense of, all of this, that true sense of who you are and what you're capable of can never be taken away by anyone, no matter what they say to you. And with the Four of Pentacles and purse, pay attention to finances, this does talk about, yeah, financial conservatism. So for some reason, like the way I'm putting all of these pieces together, this says save a little bit of money now, because there is an event, or there are going to be some things coming up in this period all the way till October 22nd that will require you to take some sort of opportunity, like whether go on a trip or something like that, that will require you to have saved something, saved some money, so that you can enjoy that opportunity and not feel restricted then. Like if you feel like maybe, especially if you're feeling like you're overcompensating through spending right now, in order to make yourself feel recognized or to provide for yourself what you feel you're missing externally, like this is asking you, like all of the success is guaranteed. Like what would you do if you knew that, if you were reassured that this was the case, that all of these things that you have been working on, specifically when it comes to career and to putting yourself out there, especially if you're like a performer or someone who wants to be in the public eye or something like that, or even if you're not, like what would you do if you were told by some higher force, you know, or through whatever energy is speaking through me to you right now, that all of this was guaranteed? Would you still like engage in all of the activities that you're doing right now, or are some of them like actually placeholders for this feeling of potential emptiness that you might have when it comes to that area of your life? Like all of this will soon manifest, if not, you know, way before the Saturn retrograde is over, at least by the time it's over. So there will be an event of great significance, and you will get lots of accolades for what you've done. And yes, there might be a significant relationship coming in for you by the end of October. This might be romantic in nature, but again, I'm getting, yeah, this comes up a lot in my readings for some reason, but I'm getting a connection between career and romance here. So there's a lot of opportunities coming your way, and you're going to get recognized for what you've been doing, and your true essence can never be overlooked. So the best thing you can do is just work on being even more in alignment, in conjunction with that core sense of self. Okay, so I'm just going to get one oracle card here for advice on how to best make sense of these energies here, these lessons, blessings, these stories in your life. Okay, mermaid's love 24. Okay, so yes, career and romance connected to you, for you. Not surprised to see this. 24 adds up to 6. So six house of job, of routine. Yeah, you might meet this person if you haven't already. You're going to come into some significant connection through your work and through this process of working on things that are going to be eventually recognized by others. So where is it? 24, one page earlier. Love, partnership, support, accord. So support, a big theme in this reading. A loving couple is shown on this card. The woman is a mermaid. Her hair and tail seem to float through the sky. A man with feathers holds her hand. He grounds and protects her. He is her base. They are from different worlds, water and the sky, but they are complete together, a perfect love union. Their differences make them stronger and balanced. They support each other in their own way, but always from a place of respect and love. Oh my gosh, this is such a beautiful and exciting message, because this really speaks about, you know, like you feel like you've been your own cheerleader, like maybe you've been single for a very long time, because maybe, I mean, you do have, I sense you're someone with very high standards. You do truly understand your worth, I think. But you felt like maybe, yeah, you're your only true supporter, and that, you know, whether it comes to career or love, like no one has really been able to match you in that energy. And there is, you know, this is really good news. Like these people are coming, whether community-wise, as we've seen here with the Three of Cups, and as Saturn in Aquarius would suggest, or when it comes to romance, or indeed when it comes to them in an interconnected way. These two different sides of life are coming together. Yeah, let's see one final message here for you. Okay. Okay. Just one card. That's 3 cards. All right. Let's just get one, please. You know what? Okay, this one doesn't, yeah, I want to use always the same decks for every pile, but yeah, you know what? Let's get a different one for you. I should just, feel called to use this one for some reason. Sometimes that happens. Okay, that one, see? Exactly. I knew it. Okay, anemone, optimism, look up and look brightly. Oh my God, what a perfect message. Exactly, I'm glad I used this one instead. Yeah, just keep holding on with this star card here to your hopes that you've already put out there, and trust that all of the stuff that you've been trying to manifest so powerfully in the past are absolutely on their way. Like by the end of this year, for sure, you're going to see like not just one tiny result, but multiple like significant results. And this will bring you closer to your true community, your true soul tribe, your true soulmates, in many different ways, creatively based, romantically based, and maybe when it comes to friendship as well. So lots of beautiful positive change for you. So Saturn just wants you to be a little bit more patient right now, and to just keep going because you've been doing all the right things, and to realize that it's not about like blessings or restrictions coming out from some sort of external source to you. It's literally about you making your future right now. Like you are your own greatest supporter, but that doesn't mean that you're always going to be that person. Like you're going to be joined on this path, and especially if you've been going through a Saturn return as well, like this message is going to be even like tenfold heightened for you. So all of these blessings are coming your way. Just hold on a little bit longer. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for you, pile number 2. I hope some of this resonated. I would love to hear your stories, comments. Let me know what house your Aquarius is in, where Saturn is transiting. Yeah, I would really appreciate your likes, shares, subscribes, and I hope you have a magical day, and see you here again some other time. Bye. So hello everyone who picked pile number 3, or a tarot of the divine. So let's get into the question of what karmic cycles or stories are unfolding for you right now. And we're going to take a look at some oracle cards first to see which areas of your life these things are unfolding and manifesting into. So first one is going to be square, challenge. Creates tension, stalls, sounds the alarm, motivates, pressures into, frustrates, demands, struggles, reorients, hurts, works out, reconciles. Okay, so these cards have lots of descriptions on them, and I like that because they bring up lots of possibilities for how this energy might be manifesting in your life. So the square is an astrological aspect, and it indicates a connection between planets that are in the same modality. So if you have, like, for example, a planet in Aquarius, squares are going to be in all the other fixed signs. So Scorpio, Taurus, and then Leo. So a lot of, so all signs of the same modality are going to take a similar approach when it comes to energy. So fixed signs, for example, that just came to mind. Maybe that is relevant for you if you have fixed signs. That might be further relevant for you. They are all about maintaining some sort of structure and balance. It's about sustenance, and it's about long-term oriented, whatever it is. For example, earth would be stability of the material kind. Air would be long-held ideas and concepts that should be, or the person thinks should be, perpetuated and upheld and respected, things of that sort. So this is about growth, basically, and squares really are the energy of Saturn in my book. You can also think of Saturn as the energy of opposition, which is about reconciling opposites and about being challenged. Squares have a lot, planets or energies that form the aspect of a square, they do have that element in common, but they're always going to take different approaches to how to accomplish it. So at the highest possible level, specifically, take a look if you have any grand crosses or T-squares in your chart. This always signifies someone who has the potential for a lot of growth and success. So you're actually not going to see charts of, the most successful people in the world are usually going to have some sort of challenging aspect in their chart. And this literally talks about the necessity for Saturn in our lives. If you had absolutely no pressure externally, you would never get anything done. If you only had trines in your chart, for example, or if your entire life was of the energy of a trine, which is a harmonious aspect, which puts absolutely no pressure on yourself, and also signifies things that are just given to you. You might just be someone who just moves through life in a very passive sort of way. So any sort of challenges in your life, or difficulties, or things that you have considered to be lessons that are a little bit more harsh, or that have tested your abilities or your value or your worth or your patience or anything else, these things were meant to make you grow. So a lot of the energy of this Mercury retrograde was meant to make you reflect on what has been most challenging in your life, what has yeah, what has really pushed you to your limit, and what did you learn through these experiences? Like, did you gain some sort of skill through those situations, or did you always resist them? Was there anything good that came out of it, or was it something that you consider to have been unfair or cruel or something like that? And why? Why do you feel that those experiences were unfair to you? So Saturn brings challenges because it wants not just to make you grow. That would be more of like a Jupiterian energy, like growth for its sake. Saturn does not want growth for its sake. It wants growth and maturity so that you're able to come to this place in your life where you have all the necessary skills and abilities that you possibly need in order to create what is best for you and what is the most sustainable. So this also speaks to endurance, but let's see more about this energy for you. Okay, so the sun, endurance. I say endurance, and then it says perseverance is rewarded. Oh my gosh, exactly. So you've been challenged recently. You've gone through a lot of different, like what feels like hurdles and just cycles of, like, you feel like maybe, you know, difficulties and challenges have just been constantly there and coming up one after another. Like by the time you maybe recovered from one challenge, you were faced with 3 others. So this is saying, like, just hold on for a little bit longer. It's a similar message to pile number 2, although way more challenging energy for you guys. Hold on for a little bit longer, because you're going to start to see that none of this was for no reason. None of these challenges or pressures in your life were there just to taunt you or to make you miserable. They were there geared towards this long-term benefit, and this entire journey that you've experienced that was so filled with lots of different mountains to climb, was there to bring you to your highest, point of success and stability. So, okay, with this card too, adjustments are required, 3rd quarter moon. Yeah, so this also reiterates that message of you've always maybe felt like everything you've been doing was just not good enough. Like, you were always asked to do something more, to learn yet another lesson. Like, you're wondering, like, when will the lessons end? When will the returns, the blessings start to come up? And this is talking about not asking those questions in a way that, like, assumes that there's some higher force that has sole control over you. Like, right now, you can create significant change in your life and in the way that you experience the present moment, so that you feel that these things that you've gone through are enabling factors, like these challenges or these restrictions are actually enabling to you, rather than constricting or restricting or repressing your energy or your path forward. So there is a lot of, like, change that's going to take place in your life between now and the end of October. But it is absolutely going to happen with your consent and with you, working in tandem with the energies of the universe. There is a lot, like, what I'm sensing is that a lot of things in your life are meant to be much easier, much better, and more abundant. You're meant to experience a lot more success, a lot more recognition, and just to be in a place where you feel like you are more empowered and like you are just a more capable sort of, like, leader in your own life is what I'm getting. And like, a lot of these things that are going to be adjusted, whether by things that actually happen externally or by choices that you are faced to make that always seem difficult. Like, you might feel like, you're always stuck between choosing between two, not optimal choices, things that are both difficult. And you might sometimes ask yourself what the lesser evil is, but this is, the universe wants you to understand that you don't have to be choosing between multiple incomplete, is what I'm sensing with this card here, or difficult choices. Like, it wants to bring you, that reward. And all of these things that you've done before, where you felt that, like, you were overstretching yourself, like you were going up another mountain, having no rest after your previous hurdles. Like, all of these things, even if you haven't felt the rewards for them yet, they're going to come, like, in a way that is slightly belated, but that is still going to make it all worth it. So, yeah, there might be some extra growth and some extra lessons that you're going to learn during this time, but none of it is for no reason. None of it is to torture you or to make you miserable. It wants to bring you an adjustment in your life that is positive, and that will bring you to a place of ultimate success and stability and emotional maturity, as we see here with the King of Cups. So let's see what this is about further. So yeah, with this, the dragon might be important for you in the Chinese horoscope. So if you're a dragon, based on that might be even more relevant to you. Oh, okay. Okay, 3 of Coins. This is about career and collaboration, and Aquarius. Saturn in Aquarius is about community and your relation to community and to collaboration. The 5 of Swords, being cast out from certain communities, being betrayed by others, feeling left out from, places that feel abundant or communities that feel supportive. The Knight of Cups, it's about news coming in. And okay, let's just get one more. And basically just about change happening. Okay, and that one. Okay, Strength, yeah. You're being tested right now, absolutely, but look at this. 10 of Coins, 10 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, very much in line with the astrology that's happening right now, that Pluto in Capricorn, the Taurus stellium, Taurus North Node, as well as Saturn in Aquarius, which is about the long term and about setting up some sort of path for yourself where you don't just work every single day in a repetitive fashion, but where you're actually working towards your greatest legacy and towards, something that feels real and like unshakable, as whether it's, a foundation in your life, whether it's your home, whether it's your career, your relationships. So yeah, with the King of Cups here, there might be someone in your life who operates as a very significant spiritual or otherwise teacher right now. There might be some sort of boss or coworker that is currently causing you a lot of difficulty or strife, or who is challenging you. With the 3 of Coins here, this person sort of like happily drumming along here, but then we see these 2 more intimidating figures in the background with the masks who potentially might feel like they're out to get this other person, but they're unaware of it. So maybe, especially with the 5 of Swords, which is, it represents betrayal in the usual tarot, you might have felt betrayed when you were just sort of going along with life and enjoying things and being free and being what you consider to be like your natural, authentic self. Like maybe, others were there, like out to get you, to steal things from you, or to basically just treat you in a way that you consider to have been unfair. So now you're wondering like, wow, I can't believe like this happened to me. Like, why did I deserve this? It's that energy of like, why did I deserve this challenge? This was to show you just how capable you are of taking care of yourself and of creating things from this place of empowerment, basically, because we have the 10 of Coins here, which is the card of ultimate legacy, of the family, the home, the business. It's about, like offspring as well. That's always indicated on the 10 of Coins. It's about connections to karmic legacy, past and present, and that's also indicated in the astrology if you've listened to the beginning of the video. And the Chariot here, this is about success. And wow, the Hierophant, this is about, cultural norms and conventions and about expectations. So basically you might feel like you've been unfairly treated or faced by challenging clashes with authority figures, is what I'm sensing. And this was, on a more practical earthly level, might feel like there's no redeeming quality to these experiences, these challenges, like it was all for nothing, it was just to make you miserable. But sometimes there are these experiences in life that just don't make sense until a little bit later, and you will understand at a higher level by the end of the Saturn retrograde why some of these challenges took place in your life. They were there just to make you stronger. That's the most obvious sort of interpretation with the Strength card, but they were also there in order so that you realize that you are your own boss, that you are your own authority figure here with this, think this is Merida, you know, holding this crocodile lion type person or entity in her arms and not feeling afraid. And that, whatever that entity is there, that's that sort of inner, not just inner demon, but also just that inner sense of the parent and of the authority figure. Saturn retrograde really is about inner authority, right? We talked about that in the introductory astrology, and it's also about inner parenting. So yes, on some level, there was a necessity for you to just mature through these experiences at the most mundane level to learn certain things about the world. But at a higher level, this was about you getting in touch with your true essence that feels powerful, the true source of your empowerment, so that you feel that you're ready to take on whatever goals you have in a way that is self-sufficient. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't look for connections and for support and for reassurance from others and from communities and from your coworkers and the people that you are around. On the contrary, this is about becoming even more in tune with that sense of self and all of your talents, maybe things that you haven't even discovered yet, so that you attract towards you people who are even better, and even, you know, just people who won't betray you or who won't be mean to you and who will give you constructive criticism rather than you know, difficult feedback, or who won't, like, in that very Pluto in Capricorn retrograde sort of way, like give you mean-spirited punishments for certain things. So you're meant to experience some of these things so that you realize, like, you know what? No, I'm not going to sit here and take this berating from all these people. Like, you know, this person's crying here in a corner and feeling like it's very small and sort of like a child, and like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, this is the energy that I'm getting. Like, you were just sort of there, like singing along, drumming along, like your ideas, your goals, and then you were treated as though, oh my gosh, the Three of Pentacles again. You were treated as though you were some silly child who didn't know what they were doing, and this whole like series of lessons of that kind was meant to teach you that, you know what, that is not the case. Like, I am a very wise person at the soul level, and I should never be treated this way, and I am capable of empowering myself and getting back up again and doing what I need to do in order to create all of these things that I want to by myself first, and then others will join me. It's because, yeah, here we have 3 people on the Three of Pentacles card, but look at that. Here we have 1 person working by themselves, but they're still in a church, which sort of signifies spiritual assistance. So they're assisted absolutely by their whole team of spirit guides, by their higher self as well, with this King of Cups here indicating that emotionally mature version of you, that highest self version of you, but in a way that's a little bit solitary for a while. So you might have to work a little bit alone for some time, especially until October, but that is the time when you can grow the most in a way where you will be just so empowered that nothing like this will ever happen again. So Page of Pentacles, yeah, you feel like you might not be, oh, how lovely. You might not have the necessary skills like that you need in order to do this by yourself, but there is a lot of growth that is, oh wow, I can't believe you have the sun twice. There's a lot of growth that is going to happen during this period in this very accelerated way, because every time this square comes up, this speaks about being pressured to change quickly. So we can change in many different ways. It's not necessary to do it in a way that is painful, or that where you take great strides and, you know, one go, or where you just jump through a lot of hurdles at the same time. But sometimes, like, our soul contract sort of dictates that we go through these periods of accelerated, intense growth. And at other times, there's just a sort of simpler, more easy way to go about it. But this is for your own benefit. Like, when you're going to look back at this time around the end of this year, if not like end of October, you're going to realize just how much change you've created, just how much growth you've already experienced. With the sun coming up twice, absolutely perseverance will be rewarded. So hold on for a little bit longer, because all of this, like what feels like extra, just self-surpassing constantly. Like, you're saying, like, how many lessons do I need to learn before I feel some of these rewards? Like, a lot of this will just finally feel like worth it by the end of this year. And yeah, when Saturn retrograde is over. So let's see what other areas of life are indicated as like blessings or lessons during this time. Okay, so grapes, time to go out and have fun. Okay, so maybe being with friends who are literally just your true friends during this time will make you feel supported. Okay. Okay, that's way too many. I'm just going to take 2 or 3 more. So, yeah, working hard, but it's too many still. But still taking time to be with those that you know are truly safe connections and soul-based friends to you. Stork, news of a birth or a new business opportunity. So yeah, wow, that fell on the 3 of Pentacles. So this really speaks to me about you working on something by yourself that you maybe have tried to collaborate on with others in the past, but maybe where you felt betrayed by them. So those may, like, one of the random messages that I just got is that yeah, it is in your soul contract, and Saturn wants you to do this thing by yourself because this is meant to be your thing. It's like your own unique, destined success that you're meant to build with your own hands, so that no one can then come to you later on and be like, oh, well, now you owe me this and that because I helped you do that. No, no, no. They weren't there for you when you needed support, so they don't get to enjoy these grapes with you now. So funnel. Oh my gosh, I said funnel at some point in this reading. Did I? Maybe I didn't. Period of frustrations, lessons to be learned. Wow, what an obvious reiteration of this entire reading. Okay, and that one. And news is on the way. So 2 cards indicating news, a lot of cards indicating lessons. And let's see what is here. Okay, shark. Yeah, take care or there will be a loss of material wealth. I wouldn't take it necessarily as like a warning or something like that. It's just that right now you're being absolutely encouraged to just work on this thing that you're doing or that you've been trying to manifest for quite a while now by yourself, because that is what's going to be the most beneficial to you. But a lot of news will be coming your way when it comes to these manifestations. But yeah, I want to see what that is about. Like, what is this news about? I feel like I need one more card here. But specifically about business, yeah. 3 of Pentacles twice, and a card indicating like business opportunities. Yeah, there's a lot indicated here when it comes to that. Okay, Arrow, you are on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. And Tankard, celebration, fun, enjoyment. So 2 cards indicating enjoyment, and then Arrow. So basically you're gonna have way more things to celebrate by the end of this year. You are absolutely on the right path, even if, wow, oh my gosh, by the end of this year I said, and then we get December at the bottom of the deck. Crazy. This reminds me of an emoji my friend used recently of a woman blowing air. Anyway, irrelevant. But yeah, basically right now things seem like they're too harsh and like you're not getting a lot of rewards on your immense efforts. But this is telling you, actually, instead of asking for help from others or like sharing in the burdens, just accept the burdens, because they're going to be so worth it by the end of this year. You are absolutely on the right path. You're going to get more opportunities to develop this, like whatever it is, business, career endeavor especially. So just just intend that you're going to be celebrating by the end of this year. And in order to get yourself through the harder moments, just spend some nice quality time with friends whenever you can, with just some light, like get a drink or something. Just go out, and having moments of respite during this time is going to be very important, because you are on this very accelerated path of growth towards your highest success. So that can be very daunting at times, and you might feel very tired, but you have a lot more abilities and talents than you think here with this Page of Pentacles. If this is how you view yourself, your higher self wants to tell you there's a lot more accessible to you, and you don't need others as much as you think you do. You can do this, all of this by yourself. And again, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be joined and shouldn't enjoy life with others at some point. You will, absolutely, by the end of this year. It's just that this period is meant for you to work through, so that all of the things that you accomplish will be fully your own, and that no one can come in and claim your success for themselves. Okay, so the perfect key, lovely, 29, I'm going to read that. is your oracle card that signifies what should you do to make the most of these energies, these lessons, these blessings. So happiness, encouragement, unlock feelings. This card shows a woman holding a key in one hand and a cage with a heart in it in the other. There's a bird sitting on the woman's shoulder, encouraging her to try different keys with his mouth. Yet, the woman has already found the perfect fitting key. She can open the cage and open her heart. Sometimes life is only a search for the right key. There are so many things that are hard for us to approach. We can have trouble accessing our feelings. Thanks to friends and family, there are people who can help us find the lost keys to our personal happiness. So, for some reason, this keeps getting me, this also gets me back to this Three of Pentacles card as something that signifies like your true, the true result that you're looking for will come when you most align inwardly with yourself, with your higher self, so that you understand like what the right path is, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's a very sort of like convoluted message. I think this card mostly says what the message you need to hear is. But if there's been something that you've been wishing on privately that you didn't even want to acknowledge to yourself because you're afraid it won't manifest, this is about like opening that part of your heart and of your hopes and dreams, rather than like repressing it, and working in alignment with it and with your higher self, so that you realize and feel that you're supported even when physically in the real 3D world you're not actually working with someone else, because you're always supported by your true friends, by your true family. That's coming up a lot, friendship, right? Even when like the rest of the world seems like it's against you or like throwing you only hurdles and challenges, like the things that are truly meant for you will always be there for you, and they're absolutely on their way. But there's a lot of stuff that you still need to tend to, like with adjustments required. Like basically I just get the sense that you're sort of halfway done with your work in a lot of different areas. So this time is just going to be about persisting and just trusting that those true heart's wishes are going to start manifesting by the end of this year. Let's get you one more card, sort of mantra card here. Okay, that one. I assess matters carefully and discern wisely. So with any retrograde energy, if you did watch the beginning of my reading, it's about turning inward and assessing what you need to adjust, basically, and finding different, well, basically like asking yourself questions about how your actions are aligning to your purpose. That's really a lot of the themes that came up in the Mercury retrograde had to do with that, and then they're going to be taken up to the next level with the Saturn retrograde. So like, yeah, another message I get with this is that asking others for advice won't be so useful for you. It's really about tuning inward and connecting to your higher self and to your spirit guides and to your true friends, rather than to people who like supposedly have some sort of expertise, and people who can give you like the final answer to something. Like none of those things will be working for you this time. This time is all about like connecting very deeply to your inner sense of power, authority, and that part of you that is your own parent, your own caretaker, the person who encourages you the most. You have to be your greatest cheerleader and supporter at this time, and it won't always be this way, but the more you do it now, the more you're going to start sensing that celebratory feeling around you, reflected in, all the people who are truly connected to you, not those who are out to get you or to, take advantage of your own work and your success, but those who are actually there and willing to celebrate with you. But you have to start doing that from within. So that's what I see for you. Pile number 3, I hope some of this resonated. I would love to hear your stories. Yeah, let me know which house Saturn is going to be transiting in for you. Anything else that you want, I would really appreciate your likes, shares, subscribes, and I hope to see you back here another time. Have a magical day. Bye. So hello to everyone who picked pile number 4 or the Lightseer's Tarot. So let's take a look at what karmic cycles or stories are unfolding in your life right now. So I have some oracle cards that signify the specific areas of life that these things are unfolding in. So take as many messages as resonate for whether this is lessons, blessings, both, etc. And then we're going to take a look at the specific stories surrounding them. So the first card is, oh wow, they're all in reverse, okay? 7th house, relating. All right, so partners, companionship, best friends, marriage, relationships, opposition, equilibrium, sharing, communion, justice, balance, social awareness. I like these cards for the fact they have so many keywords on them. These things could always be manifesting slightly differently in all our lives, but this is so undoubtedly about relationships of the most significant soulmate kind. Libra might be significant to you, as the scales are indicated there. So this could go any way, but the word opposition is standing out to me, and that makes me think of the first house in astrology, aka your ascendant. So specifically, if any of these planets, especially Saturn, are aspecting your ascendant in some sort of ways, or rather, very significantly, if your 7th house is in Aquarius, which is the case for a lot of Leo ascendant people, this might be an even more powerful message for you. So really, the question of this reading is, what is Saturn retrograde bringing you, and what does it want you to be aware of, and what is revealing to you at this time? And it's all matters to do with the way that you've related to people who are significant connections in your life. So something new might be coming in this area of your life. You might be coming into connection with significant soulmates, or with someone who's going to change your life. One or multiple people of that sort in different areas. It doesn't just have to be romance. But with that opposition there, coming back to that idea. So yeah, the first 7th house axis is about maintaining your own sense of identity and your core self, while still being in significant connections with others. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. Especially Aquarius can be very much a lone wolf energy, especially if you have significant placements in that. So when it does rule, for example, over your 7th house, that means that you might feel quite alone in your relationships. You might feel like you're an outsider or an outcast, or you don't really connect with others, or that just relating to others at all might sometimes disempower you. And Saturn in Aquarius is all about the ways that you relate to communities and groups of people in ways that are authentic to your soul. And retrograde, of course, this means reflecting on how you are a part of certain communities and connections and relationships, and or certain ones disempowering to you, or some groups that you're part of, ones that you should, just exit and, sign the contracts ending. For those groups, should you re-sign certain contracts? There could be a renewal of certain relationships in your life. So let's see what this is about more. Okay, a new relationship blossoms. I swear I did not plan this. I always shuffle cards together for all decks. I just say deck number 1, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5. So yeah, this absolutely signifies a significant connection coming into your life again. It absolutely indicates that someone new who is really deeply connected to your soul coming in. This also makes me think of, like wishing upon a star for some sort of partner. Like, I don't know, I just get that feeling from this card, like this youthful sort of maiden, like wishing for her prince. Like, it really looks like Rapunzel, like in her tower. So maybe, yeah, that's once again bringing up the idea of isolation. So if you felt disconnected in relationships, or if you felt that you were very much alone, or like super single, or things of that sort, or maybe on a more collective level with the Aquarian Saturn energies, just like you didn't fit in to a society or a community or something like that. Like, this is absolutely talking about a change in this aspect. Okay, so let's get one more card here. So don't let your past hold you back. Okay, but the other thing I'm going to say, the South Node. So if any of you have been here, I talk about the nodes quite a lot. I really like talking about that as the points, the mathematical points that signify your purpose, but also the South Node represents past life connections. So this person who's going to be coming into your life is definitely going to be a soulmate with whom you've had past lives. And again, this could be romantic, it could be like business oriented, it could be a best friend type of thing, it could be a lot of different things, but in general, the 7th house is about your own like mechanism of relating. So on one side, yeah, there might be certain connections in the past that you are afraid will manifest again, or that whose like negative components you are afraid will manifest through these new connections. Like, you basically, I feel like you don't trust that there are people out there for you, or that maybe you even do trust, but there might be some element of like compartmentalizing on your end, like that that goes something like, oh, well, this person who's like ideal, this like ideal partner or something like might be out there, but I'm not going to find them. Something like that. The South Node speaks about like a guaranteed connection, a guaranteed soul contract with someone who is absolutely meant to come into your life right now. So yeah, especially my Leo ascendant people whose 7th house is Aquarius, like there's some destined shifting happening right now in relationships. So there's someone coming in from maybe the past in this life, but I sense that for most of you, because this says a new relationship blossoms. So like maybe in this life you haven't met this person, but you have met them in a past life. So just a significant soul connection. Yeah, and the other message, of course, with that card is don't expect the same karmic cycles to repeat through this relationship, because this is a new level that you've reached, especially if you've had or are going through a Saturn return right now. This is especially indicated. And that first feeling I got from that card is this like youthful maiden, like maybe in the past, like you had some sort of naive beliefs, or you felt like you were naive and like childlike or stupid or something about having certain beliefs when it comes to partnership or something like that. Like this is telling you that this new situation and connection and experience is going to be different, because you have, like, I feel like most of you watching this have been like pretty alone for quite a long time in at least one area of your life, if not multiple areas. So all of that time spent in self-reflection, as she's sort of looking in the distance there, all of that time like imagining like your ideal connections or ideal future, or wishing for things like that was meant to bring you closer to your true authenticity. And that was the first sort of thing I gathered from that 7th house card, right, of opposition, of the ascendant, of this self. If you've been self-oriented, self-focused, or if you've walked a lot of the journeys in your life by yourself, now it's time for the other part of life to be highlighted for you. Okay, so 2 of Pentacles, the card of balance, of work. Oh my gosh, the Hermit, the card of being alone. The Tower, card signifying absolute disruption and change in the positive, because this is about destined connections. Yeah, 5 of Pentacles, feeling alone and unsupported. And then let's get one more. And the Knight of Swords, as well as the 8 of Swords. So wow, okay. You are someone who hasn't just spent this time being alone, like doing absolutely nothing and like just, you know, whining about it, or complaining or feeling sorry for yourself. Like you've absolutely, like the 2 of Pentacles indicates juggling lots of tasks, doing a lot of work, being successful, being very work oriented. This is actually Jupiter in Capricorn, and Jupiter is that opposite in many ways planet to Saturn, which speaks about things that are just given to you as gifts. But when it's in Capricorn, it's almost like you felt that that side of your life, or that part of your experience that maybe everyone else seems to get, was restricted for you. Like things, like maybe it felt like nothing was just given to you in this lifetime when it comes to relationships. Like you've always had to fight, or you've always had to be your own supporter. That has been coming up a lot in all of these piles, like being your own greatest supporter. But this is about to change, and none of the experiences that you've had when you've been like just literally on a hill by yourself alone, like none of these were for nothing, and it was very significant as part of your learning experience. And I mean, look at these cards, they're so like miserable and solitary, right? But this person here, the Knight of Swords, is the most fast moving knight, and with the 8 of Wands, that's literally quick change happening, as though that weren't already indicated with the Tower here. So this is also like Uranian energy, so absolutely take a look at where Uranus is going to be transiting your houses, especially like late July to August, because that's when significant change could be happening. And perhaps, like, this is just a very specific message in the astrology I'm getting, perhaps that area of your life that is going to be receiving this significant sudden change, potentially, is going to be the area or the like place in your life through which you will meet this person. So there's a lot, like, oh my gosh, wow, what I'm sensing is just such an intense reading. Like maybe at certain points on this journey, like you just sort of gave up on this idea of partnership or of connections of a significant soul level, and you were just like, you know what, no, I can't keep wishing for this and having my hopes get thwarted again. I'm just going to give up on it. But the weird message I'm sort of getting is like the universe or like your spirit guides or like your highest supporters in the like astral realms are literally like running towards like they're really I'm having trouble expressing it, but because it's so intense, they're just so set on bringing this to you, this like absolutely sacred partnership is what it feels like. They're absolutely set on bringing you this absolute shift of energy in the opposite direction in this specific area of partnership and connections and relations. Like, you know, you are absolutely not by yourself in this, and if you've felt that way for such a long time, it was because you were just such a, you know, such a mature soul, and you, not just because you could do it all by yourself, but because you were meant to align with soul partners who are of the absolute highest kind. Like, you didn't need to go through karmic cycles, repetitive karmic cycles of difficult relationships like so many people do in order to get here. Like, that's what I'm sensing. Like, there's a lot, like basically the universe is catching up with what it has promised you is what I'm feeling. And there's a very like powerful shift happening, and very quick actually, that will definitely start manifesting by the end of October when Saturn Retrograde will be concluding. And this time, because we talked about how that Saturn in retrograde is about becoming your own sort of teacher, evaluator, constructive critic. Yeah, it might feel like you've already done that, you know? And we got the Page of Wands and then the Knight of Wands. See how this, oh wow, such absolute and obvious indication of fast forward moving energy. Oh my God. And the Knight of Cups. Okay, we have 3 knights. This is obvious. And the knight that is missing is the one that moves the slowest. So literally this partnership, especially with the Knight of Cups, which indicates, oh my gosh, soulmate connection, 6 of Cups, and the Ace of Wands. Oh my gosh, and the Tower again, and the Sun, sacred partnership. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, there's going to be some sort of connection of the deep soul kind that comes your way. Like, it's going to be emotionally aligned, it's going to be physically aligned, like a lot of attraction here, and it's going to make you feel like, with the 8 of Wands, what I was really sensing from this card is like a lot of just magic, like glittery magical energy coming your way that you felt that was always like absent from your life in this one area. Like, you've always felt like, where is that? Like, you felt like there's so much magic within you, but never coming at you from an external connection, from an external like relationship, or yeah, just shared experiences. And there's just so much of this like lightning that wants to come in this into your life to bring you this gift. Like, literally the universe is running behind the scenes to catch up with this promise that, you know, was there in your soul contract to connect with a significant soulmate. So yeah, I mean, okay, let's see what okay, let's get some more cards for potential lessons or like blessings in your life right now. I'm gonna take some of these. Okay, but I think we obviously know what the story is here. Okay, that one. Target a goal-oriented person. Okay, so this person who is coming your way. Also, with this, one of the other things I thought was someone who's like from afar, like running towards you, because not necessarily like they've known you in person and are like, you know, really trying their best to get you or something like that, or to convince you or to like win you over, but it's almost like their higher self is running towards you here too. Like, it's their higher self is like catching up to the immense soul evolution that you've already experienced. Like with the Hermit, this is really a card about spiritual growth and about doing it by yourself completely. Like, you've already done that. You've already like juggled so many things in your life. Like, you've juggled both success and spiritual growth, both like work of the material kind, because that's what that is about, and expansion of the soul. And like, it's almost like your highest soulmate, I'm gonna call them basically, it's like now feeling weirdly triggered by the universe to like run like, you know, 10 miles per second to catch up to your soul evolution, so that they are aligned, so that they meet you at that finish line or at that destined moment of connection. wow, intense. Elephant, a long journey, either physical or mental, will leave you wiser at the end. Wow, what was I just saying? And that just simply signifies that you've just been alone for such a long time. You've just been, like you've been going through a lot of this by yourself, but now is the time for this to change and to align with someone who is both just connected at the soul level, but who is also like incredibly passionate and goal-oriented. Maybe this person has Sagittarius placements or lots of fire placements with 2 fire cards coming up here. But also potentially like, water energy as well. Okay, so let's get 1 or 2 more cards here. Okay, April. Okay, so maybe this will manifest fully in April of next year, or maybe something happened this April that set this into motion. Okay, let's get some more information. But I do sense that, I don't know, like, just this feels like such fast forward movement here that I would actually think that it's happening this year. Like, again, like we asked about what's going to happen by the end of Saturn retrograde. That was the theme of this reading, really. You feel something is lacking in your life. What did I say? Perhaps love, money, or goals. Okay, and goals came up twice. Okay, let's get one more because I feel like I need to know what that April thing is about. No, I want to know. Okay, Weeping Willow, family sorrow. Okay, so if there's been some sort of event in April that was difficult for you when it comes to relationships or family or something like that, then there will be sort of healing coming in with the elephant there. But also, don't expect any more sadness in the realm of relationships. That's what I get with that, because the first, with this long journey signifying rewards, none of this, again, one of the first themes of this reading is none of these difficult cycles or experiences, whether in specific relationships or in general in your life, are bound to repeat. This situation will be different. It will not bring you sorrow. It will not be something that makes you feel like you've just come into the same situation again where you're going to end up being alone or betrayed, or to, go back to what is supposedly the usual and the normal for you, which is to feel abandoned or something like that. Also, that might indicate like past karmic lessons or cycles to do with your family, where you have felt abandoned or rejected, or like where maybe you were forced to sort of grow up early or something like that. These things are all very much indicated in the astrology right now. Okay, so with the eagle, triumph over troubles, obstacles. So yeah, absolutely a shift in energy when it comes to relations and to family as well. But specifically that, like, at least that one significant partnership of the really deep soul kind. Okay, let's get you one more oracle card here. So how should you make the best of these energies right now? Okay, that's 3 cards, but let's just shuffle a little bit more. Let's just get one. Yeah, how should you best make sense of these lessons, blessings, Saturn retrograde energies right now in your life? Okay, that one. Oh, Eva. Okay, interesting. 16 adds up to 7 in the 7th house once again. Okay, let's read that description. 16, also the same number as the Tower. 3rd time indicated. Duplicity, deception, caution. Out of the jungle steps a woman, half of her body covered with exotic plants and flowers. A snake wriggles around her neck. The woman presents herself like a sweet fruit to be picked. She offers excitement and novelty, but be careful. Her kiss could be as toxic as the bite of a snake. Like a deceitful friend or lover, her unreadable countenance masks her true intentions. Yeah, but you know what? That's exactly the message that I got at first. About basically the opposite energy. Like, don't expect this to be the case. If something looks too good to be true, it's not actually. In the context of this reading, that's how I'm going to take it, because this person, even if they are very attractive to you, even if they are very goal-oriented and they seem like when you do meet them, they're going to be very they're going to be coming your way very quickly and confidently, that doesn't mean it's a red flag actually. Just because that may have been the case in the past for you, it doesn't mean that this has to repeat now. Because we have the Knight of Cups too. If we just had the Knight of Wands, I'm not going to lie, I would say that's a little bit of a player energy. But just because someone is like very attractive and you're very attracted to them doesn't mean that that is the case, because at the bottom we have the Knight of Cups followed by the Six of Cups, a soulmate energy type thing. So that to me just says there's going to be lots of attraction there, and you shouldn't let your like inner sense of fear about these old karmic cycles when it comes to relationship repeating, because this person who's going to be coming your way is truly a significant soul connection. Absolutely, there's absolutely no question about that in my book, and it's going to be happening quickly. But I feel like the whole cycle of the situation will be like, it would have started this April and conclude next April, but there might be a significant moment like by the end of Saturn retrograde, so by the end of October. Okay, so last message for you is Heliconia realization. The answer is here. Take heed. So if you've been looking for some sort of confirmation that your soulmate is on their way to you, this is definitely it. So I hope that some of this reading brought you some clarity and that you make the absolute most out of the Saturn retrograde energy. So thank you so much for sticking around. And if you didn't check out the introductory astrology of this video, I would really appreciate it if you did. Yeah, let me know if you have any comments. Let me know what your 7th house sign is, or how Saturn is aspecting your own chart throughout this transit, or which house for you is in Aquarius, and maybe which house is in Taurus and receiving a lot of that like tower-like potential change for the better through the Uranus and Taurus transit. I would love to hear that. But in any case, I would really appreciate your likes, shares, subscribes, and hope to see you here some other time. Have a magical day. Bye. So hi to everyone who picked pile number 5, or the Antique Anatomy Tarot. So this is going to be about what karmic cycles or stories are unfolding in your life right now. And before we take a look at the tarot, we're going to look into some oracle cards that determine which area of your life this Saturn retrograde energy is activating or unfolding in. So first card that we have is 2nd house. Assets, material world, possessions, finance, talent, value, solidity, worthiness, wardrobe, luxuries, credit score, security, aesthetics. Yes, the description on these cards is a little bit wordy, but I like that because it highlights all the different possibilities that the astrological energy on that specific card could be unfolding. So the first thing that really stood out to me is, for some reason, talent. Like when I just read assets, I immediately thought talent. So you may have already been on a long journey of assessing your own skills, or gaining certain techniques, or like completing some sort of studies when it comes to optimizing your talents, your most natural abilities, and the callings of your soul purpose that you've already felt within you. And anytime your 2nd house is activated, there will be questions of worth and value at every possible level of life coming up for you. So not just money and finances and security and stability, but just what are your actual value systems, and what are your beliefs, and what do you think is the most valuable when it comes to you investing time and energy. So this has to do with everything when it comes to work, yes, finances, but also like relationships and everything else. So another thing, because the 2nd house is associated with Taurus in at least one astrological system, that always does bring up the idea of luxuries, yes, and aesthetics, not just surviving, but thriving. So this sort of treasure chest here filled with so many different things brings to mind the idea of, yes, like a treasure chest, basically. So the Saturn retrograde for you will be showing you either all that you've sort of amassed already when it comes to skills, talents, abilities, or resources, or it will start offering you more things that you can use in order to build something else with them. So this could be unfolding in any area of life, but let's take a look at the next card. So we have the Queen, love and prosperity. Wow, and this really reminds me of the Empress card, which is associated exactly with Taurus and Libra as well, but mostly Taurus. And yeah, love and prosperity. So there could be themes that have to do with both abundance in general in your life, as well as new love coming in, or just a general feeling of like that you're thriving in general. That's just what I'm getting. Like actually, for you, the Saturn retrograde will be more like a time when you get to dig into all of the stuff that you've already established for yourself, whether that is just a set of, a treasure chest of skills or of materials or of investments already, and making things with them. The queens usually in the tarot, not just the Empress, but the queens, they do stuff with material that's already available. The kings, I think they're supposed to unearth the material or whatever. That's one interpretation of it. But the queen is using things that already exist. So I'm not getting the sense that things were necessarily given to you. You are already on this journey where you have completed that process of sort of digging up the materials and the treasures and whatever. So now you're meant to put them together, to alchemize them, to synthesize them into something that is specifically for you and made by you, and that fits your specific life and your specific sets of values. So so this could be affecting these two areas of your life, not just, I also think, because the opposite house to the second house is the 8th house, and that has to do with not just shared assets, or not just resources and assets, but shared resources. So from partnership, for example, so you might be collaborating with a very, very important partner in this process of making sense and going through and using in very significant and appropriate ways all of these different resources that you already have. And if you don't feel like you already have so many resources, basically it just seems to me like there's some sort of hidden treasure around you, whether within yourself, when it comes to your own talents, or in your life around you. So the 2nd to 8th house axis, check out if any of these planets that I've talked about in the introductory astrology, especially the Uranus in Taurus right now, the North Node in Taurus, but of course Saturn in Aquarius, are transiting either of these two houses, because you might get some sort of return on a past investment, or you might get money coming in through some sort of partnership or through inheritance or something like that. And the 3rd card that we have is Have Faith in Your Dreams, Waxing Crescent Moon. So this is really amazing. I love this card. It's just basically a message of reassurance that all of the efforts that you've put into your most significant goals and inspirations is about to pay off. And it's not going to feel that way necessarily at first, but just know that all of the seeds are definitely planted and well watered, and they are already beginning to sprout. It's just a matter of them coming to the surface. There's this beautiful sort of blossoming energy here. So yeah, let's take a look at your specific story and what this is about. So yeah, I'm definitely getting the sense that this Saturn retrograde for you will be mostly about reflecting on and reevaluating all of the assets that you've gathered in the last sort of cycle of your life, whatever you consider that to be. And or going inward to see if you've overlooked anything. Let's just get a few that was more valuable, or that was, oh wow, I just noticed there's this little astrological dice here with Saturn on it. So that's just a further reiteration that all of this energy for you really has to do with the Saturn retrograde. Okay, so yeah, to see if, as I was saying and interrupted myself, to see if you maybe have overlooked something that was valuable and that you could have used to greater benefit, that you've maybe just not been able to see, or maybe that has been hidden from view for you for the last cycle in your life. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of energy. Let's just get a few more cards. 5. Okay, so 6 of Swords coming out. Okay, I'm gonna take that one. Okay, Death. So yeah, you've definitely been in a process of moving on from an old cycle. So maybe you've had this situation where you've removed yourself from toxic or difficult scenarios, relationships, or environments. And maybe you're wondering oh my gosh, it took me so long to just detoxify or to remove that thing that felt like such a constricting element in my life. And maybe I've worked so very hard to just, unearth those materials that I, as a native Taurian sort of Empress figure, usually expect or deserve to just have available to me, rather than, you know, me digging for them and then using them, if that makes sense. It's a very specific sort of metaphor, but it took me so long to just sort of like hit, you know, gold, basically, in this process of digging or looking for or exploration of abundance or of security or of value of any kind. So this could go materially, but more conceptually as well. And like it was such a long process to just do that. Now I actually have to start doing things with the stuff that I found, or with the stuff that it took me such a long time to dig up. But none of this process was for nothing. So you have moved on from this difficult relationship with your environment, or with connections around you, or with your relationship to materials, to materiality. So maybe you realize that having lots of items or material possessions around you was not actually very fulfilling. So you were encouraged sort of spiritually by your higher self to seek a different way of understanding value, or of connecting to value, because with the Death card there's always important transformations. So maybe Scorpio season of last year was also very important to you, and with this scythe coming up here, maybe you just axed something out of your life that was draining you, or that was like a vampiric figure or element of your life, whether relationships or like a job, or just maybe you left an environment that just felt very restrictive from you. Maybe the Six of Swords sometimes indicates traveling as well, but now you're not exactly sure where to go, what direction to take this new approach into. With the Seven of Cups here, there are lots of different possibilities. So I want to see if there's, it says, take one vial, do not mix. Okay, interesting. Yeah, so you're wondering, like, there might not be enough time, like on a practical level, for you to tend to everything that you have as available to you right now, like as possibilities for investment, for example. Or you might not have enough resources to invest in more than one thing. This might be actual literal financial investment, or it could be something else like jobs or hobbies, or what you consider to be purpose, or relationships. So you're in this process of going sort of back and forth between these two choices that stand out of a bunch of choices. But you are right now, so with the World coming up here and the Lovers, which also signifies choice, coming up, so two major arcana as well as the Death, that's 3. You are in this process of completing this cycle of being confused, or of exploring, or of just like asking questions. Like as I said in the introductory astrology, watch out for the time, if you are watching this in early June, around mid-June, you should be receiving all of the different answers that, or all of the different answers to the questions that you've been putting out there in the universe, or that you've been wondering about. By mid-June of this year. So maybe there's like one more question or something that you're still waiting for in order to move forward in this completely new cycle, and in this completely new, almost paradigm of relating to your specifically environment and values. Again, material as well as spiritual, or other things too. So let's get more information about this. How is this sort of karmic story, specifically of relationality and of valuing, playing out in your life? Let's get 2 or 3 cards here. But lots of definitely check out the house that is ruled by Taurus for you in your chart, because that is where all of this energy, or at least one of the main places where all of this energy will be activated for you. So the Star, that's Aquarius energy, so more Saturn and Aquarius vibes. So this really connects to that card again, have faith in your dreams, which maybe you felt like you just were prevented from connecting to in this past cycle of your life that felt so just overwhelmed by hardship. Okay, so the Lovers in reverse. Okay, or actually no, that's the 2 of Cups, but I'm going to take it maybe as the Lovers. So and there's the Emperor. So significant connection, but also that connection between prosperity and love that we saw at the beginning. So once again, more major arcana energy. So with the 2 of Cups coming up in reverse. I was holding the deck upwards, so I'm not going to use reversals, but I'm going to note that it came out in reverse because that basically speaks to that relation to your environment that was just out of sync, out of balance, where you felt that you were unfairly treated, or that the effort you were putting into things, whether relationships, because that definitely represents relationships, or communities, because the star and Aquarius represent that as well, or even job and career, represented by the Emperor here, you weren't getting the same in return in any of these areas, or at least one or two of them. But now is the time for that complete change, that paradigm shift where you are just so prosperous and abundant in the way that you relate to everything around you, and the way that you feel like assets and resources are available to you is in this limitless, beautiful, just blossoming sort of way. And yeah, with the star card, all of the wishes that you felt that you were putting out there but that did not manifest yet, they're going to start showing up now. It might not be completely overnight, but at least by the end of the Saturn retrograde, as we also saw with the astrological dice there, it's going to start showing up in very, very tangible ways, especially because we do have Pentacles and we have the World, which is represented by Capricorn, and it's the last card in the major arcana. So, and the second house, of course, which is all about materials. So they're going to start showing up in the tangible. So the star card here just reminds you, and really, it just really wants you to keep your hopes up and to not get bogged down by any remaining sort of confusion or cloudiness when it comes to specific choices that you still feel are completely, or that they're not completely solved yet. So let's see if there are any specifics about these either blessings or lessons or both that are being activated by the Saturn retrograde for you. So these tea leaf cards are always very specific, so we'll see what comes up. Okay, that one. Okay, boat. Wow, interesting. What was I saying before with the Six of Swords there, which usually has a boat on it in the traditional tarot, about forward movement. So money or prosperity through an inheritance, winning or windfall. Oh my God, that's crazy. Didn't I just mention the 8th house as well at the beginning of this reading, and how you might literally get some money, some inheritance-based money. Yeah, by the end of the Saturn retrograde, that's going to sort of, something flipped over. That's going to give you a lot of just reassurance and further resources for you to actually be able to maybe not even pick one of these choices, but pick several of them. So maybe there's a delay right now when it comes to, like, the answers are not being completely shown to you, because later on at a different time, you don't actually have to choose between these options. Especially we have the Lion, time to act. So a very specific sort of message, like maybe now is not the time to act, like wait for this. I'm not going to tell you wait for these, random resources you don't know about to come in, but you're just going to know, like, when you receive something, whether news, whether, some sort of assets, whether inheritance or something else, or something that you've overlooked, like I was saying at the beginning, that literally, an actual like treasure chest in your house, but, of course, on a more metaphorical level, most likely, then you're going to know which choice to make. Like, there's something else that needs to happen before you can completely make these choices. And okay, we have Parrot, someone will gossip of all your secrets. Oh, right. And then Rabbit, too much concern with sexual matters. Okay, so that's sort of side message, and I'm going to get one more card because that's a totally different sort of message. It's just don't invest in others who are, we did have the Two of Cups reversed, right? And what comes after the Lovers here is the Three of Cups, which when it is also in reverse, it could speak about gossip, or about, especially with the Aquarius energy here, communities that are toxic or that are not aligned with you, or friends who are not really friends. So maybe, you have some certain connections in your life, specifically romantic ones, that have not treated you well and that were more ego-based. And this is talking once again, especially, with the Lovers coming up, about a new cycle when it comes to that side of life too, when it comes to love as well. So, okay, Shark. Take care, or there will be a loss of material wealth. So what I actually get with this is that that's what you're fearing. You're fearing that there won't be some sort of, that you're not going to have enough resources to complete your projects or to go about your goals in the way that you want to. But this is a really reassuring reading that tells you that all of that is absolutely guaranteed for you right now. So there's no reason to worry. And especially, with these two things, like, well, sexual matters, and the 8th house is also about, like, finances that are maybe connected to sexuality in some way. That's, you know, maybe a little bit too taboo for, you know, discussions of the usual YouTube kind, but this is telling you that you should never have to do anything that you feel compromises your true sets of values, okay? So even if that means like engaging with people who are just, with this parrot card here, just toxic, or who you feel like you have to keep around in order to have some sort of security. Like this is telling you, like, for example, like one way that this can manifest is like living with a partner you're not really into because you're afraid that if you move out, you won't have the necessary security. Like you literally like need a space. So this is telling you, do not compromise your values, your worth, and fear about financial security, and therefore like engage in connections or maintain connections, whether friendships or romances or whatever, that are not truly aligned with your soul, okay? Because again, with that Two of Cups reversed, this speaks about inequality in relationships. So you might tell yourself like, oh yeah, I get this and that out of this relationship, like literally security, a place to live or something like that, but you know, I'm giving all of the emotional component of this relationship, so things of that sort. So okay, and at the bottom we have Mountain Road. You are on the road to success. So wonderful further confirmation there that this is definitely the beginning of a new cycle for you. So let's get one more oracle card. Yeah, and that's literally, I think that's what that card was about. It's about shared resources through relationship that maybe have gone a little bit, yeah, like awry lately for you. Or yeah, like literally like maintaining a marriage because of security related reasons, even though you know that at the emotional, spiritual level, it's over, something like that. But okay, House of Flowers, 36. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to read the oracle message here. Power of nature, joy of life, diversity, beauty. Out of the small white house on the top of a hill burst flowers full of life and rich in colors. It is like an explosion. The two ladies walking by look tiny in comparison to the giant falling leaves. They enjoy the enormity of nature, the power of its diversity. But even a single bloom in a vase can transform a place, each petal a world unto itself and a wonder of creation. This card signals love for life and this moment full of energy, beauty, and joy. So that's just more of that absolutely gorgeous Taurus, Venus energy. That's the way I'm seeing it and feeling it because of this transit of Venus back into its home in Taurus right now. So it's just, first of all, there's such an opportunity for enjoyment and for literally like there are roses blossoming out of this house, which to me also once again speaks about inheritance or finding assets within the home or within the ancestral line, which is also very much indicated with the Pluto retrograde right now. So yeah, additionally, check out your Capricorn house and how that is being aspected or what transits are happening there. And this is about, yeah, finding that, you know, heightened relationship with your environment once again, where you feel so supported and like you can enjoy just so much, and that, you know, resources are never going to run out. So you just can enjoy life and be there with friends and with those who are truly aligned with you. And once again, we have two people together. So that's lovely. Let's get one final message. I'm going to use the flower deck for you as well. I think I used it for one other pile because I think it feels appropriate for these cards that came out here. Okay. Okay, that one, that one. Foxglove, confidence, be what you want to see. So this, for some reason, I'm hearing or just feeling the message of act as if, whether that has to do with all of the hopes that you've been putting out there when it comes to finances, prosperity, abundance, or when it comes to relationships, or indeed when it comes to manifesting any of these goals or hopes that you've been, you know, sort of holding on to for such a long time that maybe have not fully blossomed into life. But all of this is starting to happen for you. And the Saturn retrograde is really this time where you get to see all of the untapped into values and collection of possibilities and objects and resources that have sort of been there behind the scenes or that you just for some reason did not have access to yet, but you're going to unlock that door, that like door to that treasure chest basically, or that treasure room that's going to show you all of these different new possibilities for you. So a very positive Saturn return time for you. So I hope some of that resonated. I would love to hear your stories down below. Let me know, what house your the Saturn, what house in your chart your Saturn is going to be transiting, or Uranus, or any of these things, where your Taurus or Aquarius placements. I would love to hear that. I would also really appreciate your likes, shares, subscribes, and hope to see you here some other day. Have a magical time. Bye.